robotic delivery on her, gets away with a disperse.
Some damage on the best. Stone Shield prevents almost all of the Fearless. Right.
Shadow keeps juking Real. The Real can't find the hit. Shadow's still alive.
He's fighting for his life. He's fighting for the championship. He's fighting for everything he stands.
It's just their game to lose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 64 of the Smite Update. My name is Octane Pro, and as always, joined by my co-host F. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing pretty fantastic, man. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Been a long weekend, I think, for both of us, to say the least. But it's been good. It's been good for sure. And as well this week, guys, we do have Demon Machine on. How's it going, buddy?
Doing fantastic.
Excellent.
Feeling quite green.
Quite green, that's right. That green screen, and you definitely go all out with that green screen. I didn't realize how hardcore you go. So
I want to put my head back while I'm streaming, so I got to do the chair too. I need that upper back support and also the arms.
Yeah.
Armrests.
Yeah, I can see that.
Requirement.
That's funny. So those of you guys not familiar with the Smite Update, just give you a quick little rundown before we jump into it. So the show is pretty much a weekly show that airs on Smite Game, as you guys are checking out in the live audience. If you're watching out in the VOD, there's your quick update. On top of that, the show goes over a variety of different things. Community news, esports news, and then if there's a patch notes, we could just kind of do a quick little rundown of some of the more important things that we feel that you should know about. We don't necessarily have a patch to really break down and go over this week. But we'll definitely bring it to you each week as much as we can. So before we jump into it, F. I'll throw it to you. What have you been up to recently in Smite, man?
Dude, Challenger Cup. Well, for like SPL, been watching it, been loving it, been screaming it, been crying it, been just watching it. And Challenger Cup this weekend, man. Like, I definitely watched the SPL, but as you guys know, the Challenger Cup is my baby. Not just because it's my baby, but because I want to see all the new up-and-comers. And we certainly had a bunch this weekend, man. Saturday was the North American Challenger Cup, and today was the European Challenger Cup. So between SPL and between the SPL matches and the Challenger Cup and just all that stuff, I am happy as a pig in filth, man. Just so much esports.
All right, good deal. And Demon Machine, what about you? What have you been up to this week in Smite?
Mostly SPL work, administration, stuff like that. And I've been working on my other little project, which is I do random casting of ranked games.
Okay.
And your job as the viewer is to figure out what league they're in. Because
Okay.
I hide all the names and everything, so that way I can be a little bit critical of their builds or what they're doing if they're doing something totally wrong, like why have you not have boots yet? Artemis, 30 minutes in the game, please buy boots. Things like that. And
Bronze,
then at the end of the game, we look up what their league is, and lots of times people are extremely surprised when they're like, they were gold. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's awesome though. That's actually that's a quite creative and unique idea. I have not heard of that before, but that's cool though. Definitely finding your niche for sure and polishing your casting skills as well.
It's kind of a spur of the moment thing. It was during the weekend of the Smite Central tournament when the spectator mode was down, and then I wanted to bring people something to watch, and so I was like, well, we'll just watch random ranked games, because we're supposed to watch games on the weekend, not play them.
There you go. Well, awesome. Sounds good. For myself, I've been getting finally decided to start to tap into some ranked. In the past, as you guys know, I don't really play ranked, nor do I have the time. And I really like to play a lot of viewer games, and slowly started to play that, and now I see what people are talking about. We'll just put it that way. But outside of that, things have been good. If you guys are not familiar, the Smite Update usually airs and starts at like 5, as it did tonight, but it will vary from week to week, depending. We're going to try to aim for 5, but if like the tournament previously, pushes us a half hour late or something like that, we will make adjustments. What's up, F. What you got, buddy?
I didn't know we were changing the time of the show.
Hey, you're not one more important than the viewers in chat, so you find out when they find out. Come on now.
This is our show. What are you talking about? I'm sitting here like, I got stuff to do.
No. As Demon Machine knows, the schedule is not exactly the most accurate that we're given right now. So, you know, we will wait to see how things work out. It looks like we'll be completely fine after looking at today's schedule and how things trickled out. But yeah, outside of that,
Yeah, those SPL games are quick. Ooh!
yeah, they were, and I think that's kind of part of it, to say the least. Also, guys, just a heads up, this show and this Smite Talk show that comes on after this are both available on iTunes. So just want to give a shout out to the audio audience that we do have out there on iTunes. You know, we appreciate you guys without a doubt, and you guys are growing. So, you know, if you guys want something to listen to on the way to work, or you're at the gym, you know, on that treadmill, whatever you want to do, you know, go to iTunes, look up SmiteUpdate, and download the show. And, you know, you won't be missing anything. The show is very much, you know, audio-based. Some little video perks here and there. But outside of that, you know, the audio version is just as good. So, jumping into things, just a heads up, there will be some gem code giveaways, along with some other giveaways, Smite content on our Twitter channel. So I'll go ahead and post the Twitter channel in chat, and you guys can check it out. It's twitter.com/thesmiteupdate. So please go over there, follow that Twitter account, and then go ahead and wait, and you'll see some codes randomly appear throughout the show that are administered from our mod Buddha. So let's go ahead and jump into our first section of the show today, community news. We always like to lead with this. And there was a gentleman on Reddit that actually put together, he called it Smite the Movie. Did either of you guys get a chance to actually check this out at all?
I did not.
It was pretty good.
What'd you think? I was kind of impressed, to be honest with you. I mean, you could definitely tell the guy's got some video production background.
Yeah, he's probably a theater, or not a theater, but like a motion picture student, or possibly works in the industry and something like that. I mean, you can tell he's got some good experience with it. And it was very creative how he didn't like use any outside stuff. It was just, I mean, he used very few things for like explosions and stuff,
Yeah.
but other than that, it was all machinima based, which is just, you know, purely what you can get in the game. And I had to take a lot of time. Having made very short machinima stuff, I know it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it was. I was actually surprised how long it was to start out. I didn't expect it to be that long.
It was 13 minutes and 24 seconds, I can tell you that much.
You are. Well, thank you, F. Dot. Full of knowledge right here next to me, folks.
I didn't actually watch it, but it was 13 minutes long.
It's a good watch. There's a lot of build up in the beginning, which was kind of cool, you know. And then he starts to kind of get into it, and it's this whole storyline with Apollo and stuff like that, and it's really cool. I know Hi Rez Kelly was doing some more machinima stuff that she was showing off on the Smite Showcase show, and that was really cool. That was really cool. This is very much up that alley, to say the least, and the fact that one guy kind of put this together himself and all that types of stuff. So I will put the link in chat. It will be available in the comments, but I thought I'd share that, to say the least. I mean, this is the type of community content that I think is what our community needs. Yeah, all right.
Okay.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Crap out of me!
That's so. Apparently, we have the same thunderstorm system that's apparently moving all the way up the East Coast.
Please, someone take that as a GIF. Someone grab that as a GIF, please. That was awesome.
That got me, dude. That got me.
Oh, that was good. That was so good.
Wow.
Other things I want to point you guys to for our community news section. Zapman from Team Dignitas has actually started a YouTube series. And it's pretty much a Masters ranked type of series. There's 3 episodes right now, and F. Dot would like to talk about it. So F. Dot, what would you like to say?
It's so good. It's so good, man. It's so good. Like, Zapman is one of the best players we have in our scene. And a lot of times watching his street, like, Zapman, I mean, okay, so I have a special, me and Zap have a special understanding, because people used to give Zap a lot of crap for being, like, BM on stream.
Yeah.
Zap streamed ranked at 7 in the morning on Smite Pro. I'm going to find somebody that can do that without BMing, alright? Like, and it's going to take me 12 years. So, I have, like, an understanding of that. And Zap isn't, like, that's not who he is. I think it's very unfair. And so, both Zap, like, he also teaches well, he speaks well, and he obviously knows the game. And so this is the first time he's ever really jumped into the realm of YouTube. And he sent the link out. I caught it on Twitter and I clicked it, And after like watching 15 minutes of his initial Hunter video, I was like, this is fantastic because it's just directly related to what you can do at home. You know, he talks specifically about ranked, like talks specifically about joining curse and ranked strategies. You know, a lot of times, you know, casters and analysts, I speak 100% exclusively to the competitive scene. When I talk about strategies and stuff, I don't care about ranked. Like, that's not impactful. I care about the SPL. I care about the Challenger Cup. I care about competitive. And Zapman is putting out content for people that want to go home after work and play their ranked games and want to get better in the ladder.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say this is the only content out there like this. It's the only content I've seen. And it's from freaking Zapman, dude. Like, Zap knows his stuff. So I'm excited. It's that nice in between. Like, I know Demon Machine works a lot with the newer players, and then like I said, the analysts work a lot with the competitive players. Yeah. And there's nowhere in between for, like, frankly, people like me, people that suck at the game but understand it. Like, what do we do? And then here comes that man rescuing us for the ranked series. So I'll go ahead. There you go. Octane linked it in chat. Go ahead and subscribe to that. And it's pretty dope. I'm going to close my windows because everything's about to get wet.
Go for it. Go for it. What about you, Demon Machine? Did you get a chance to check this out? What were your thoughts on it?
I haven't watched them yet because it's been on my list of things to do. But I've known Zap. He was one of the first guys on my competitive teams back when I was running BLG and stuff. And I know that back when he started streaming and when he was playing, we had a lot of, it was a lot of, he was very much the guy who likes to control the situation. And so it led to, Zapman being on very many different teams. And so, but I know he's amazing at the game. And he's also, when I watch his streams and he gets into his, what in the world is happening there?
I think that's F dot. Yeah, that's F dot. There you go.
Flush the toilet? Oh no.
I got a fancy chair.
I got a fancy chair. That's all. Not expected, but awesome comeback.
But I know whenever he gets in like his like explaining and teaching mode, Zap is fantastic because he explains what he's thinking, and that's really a lot of what people need when you're going into this stuff. Is not just, well, I mean, you just got to stun him into the wall. It's like, no, how do you think you're going to stun him into the wall? You got to position yourself so you can get there, and you got to be able to be prepared for this. Oh, watch out for that though, and also pay attention to this guy's behind you. He could be showing up, so you also got to keep aware of that. It's a lot of those things that a lot of people just don't even think of, and so he points them out, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, when a lot of people look at competitive players and, they think that stereotype where like, hey, they stream, they don't talk a lot, they just play, they're very good at the game. There isn't much personality behind that for streaming or YouTubes and stuff like that. But, after checking out, I've met Zapman several times, Steven, in person, and he's a really, really nice guy, and he has a ton of personality behind him. And then having a chance to actually see that coming out in like these Zapman teaches Smite style videos was really cool to see, because you don't really get that, and people that aren't watching his stream all the time don't really get a chance to enjoy that. So I think this is a really good first step, and I'm eager to see if we start to see some additional competitive players follow up with this. So we start to see someone from like support who's making these YouTube series, and somebody from jungle and stuff like that. Like, I think it's great. And before the show we were talking about individual brands and stuff like that. And I think this is good for Zapman. This is not only good for him but also good for Team Dignitas. So I think this is a really good first step, and hopefully we see more of it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I just want to reiterate what Demon said about. I thought that was probably the best point you could have said about how he goes through what he's thinking and why he's thinking. It's very easy to do stuff and not be able to explain it. A lot of times you talk to these pros, or even yourself, you might make a cool play and like your little brother says, hey Johnny, how'd you do that play? And you're like, I just did, dude.
I just did it.
No, not everybody.
You want to know? I know Lassus is the biggest person of that, because I've talked to him many times and he's told us on streams and everything. He's like, don't ask me how I do anything. I'm terrible. I don't know why I do it. I'm very good, and he's amazing at the game.
That's funny.
He's got that, just instinctive reaction of kind of like strategy. I don't know what it is. He's just magic.
I was talking to Wolfie, and he's like, look, man, we were talking about different players in the scene. I'm not going to tell you the bad stuff we said. But when we came to Lassus, he was like, man, like, Lassus is so good. And I'm like, yeah, like, this was when Old Dig was around. I was like, that Dig roster's good. Shadow Q's great, too. And he's like, no. Shadow is good because he's smart and calculated. Laz is good because he has no idea what he's doing. And like, we laughed for a while, and he was like, "No, I'm serious. Me and Laz have talked about this. Like, one of Laz's main boons is that he's like unpredictable because Laz doesn't know what he's gonna do.
That's funny.
And then all of a sudden, he's 2v1ing you on your speed buff, and he wins, and then he's jumping away. And you're like, "Hey, Laz, how'd you do that?" He's like, "Oh no, I just beat him." You know,
That's
so
awesome.
there's two different sides of playing the pro game, and like neither is better than the other. Obviously, as you know, you have players like Zapman and Laz's on opposite ends of the spectrum, but it's very interesting how different people have different thought processes.
Those are the types of people I'm jealous of, where they're like, I don't know, I just do it. Whereas like I'm the person, I'm like, wow, how do you do that? You know, let's look at his item build. I wonder how his play style is, why he did that. And then some people like Lassus are just able to just go ahead and roll the keyboard and still do so well at it. So pretty impressive there. Moving on from the Zapman ranked videos there. Smite was actually at Dragon Con this weekend, and if you guys did not live directly in Atlanta and have a chance to actually check that out, I will go ahead and post a link in chat with some of the pictures directly off of the Smite game Facebook itself, and I'll go ahead and throw it up on the screen here in just a second for you guys to go ahead. Am I sick? I'm not sick.
Yeah.
Why should I be
Why
sick?
are you throwing up?
Oh, Jesus. Throwing it up on screen right now. He's so terrible. He's so terrible. He's so terrible.
Smoked!
So, got it up on screen right now. Just going to flip through a few of these videos here. You guys could check it out. These clips here. You guys could check it out. A lot of the cosplayers that you guys did see at some of the previous events.
Cosplay?
Like the launch tournament. I guess these images are directly from the parade. But my understanding is Hi Rez also had some other stuff at Dragon Con as well. So looks pretty cool, to say the least. There's a Shablanque in there and Anubis, which is kind of cool. Trying to see what else. I'm trying to see. There's one picture and somebody's got wings. I don't know if it's supposed to be a Thanatos or what. There's like a Jeep and like somebody's in the back of the Jeep with right behind Little Mamacita, and I can't really tell.
Don't have Jeeps are cars. You might be thinking
That's
of
that's AMC.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. That makes sense. Yeah, F. Thanks for the smart-ass comment. Appreciate it, man. So pretty cool pictures here, guys. I will go ahead and put it in chat if you guys want to look at some more of those images available. And
My wife's down there, actually.
Oh, you were?
She probably. I wasn't down there, but my wife and my youngest son are down there.
Oh, okay.
That's why I have all this free time, because I'm just with the two older boys.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So did they get a chance to check that out, like the parade and everything?
Can you go back to that picture? Can you go back to that picture, the one before Bastet with the whole group? There's something I want to point out about that picture.
I can bring it back up. I closed it.
Yes,
but,
please.
Okay.
So you have all these. Everybody's in cosplay. Nabil is dressed up like Vamana.
Yeah.
And then you just have Gavin to the side, like, "Hey guys, I'm Gavin." I think that's really funny. Everybody is dressed up, including Nabil. Nabil has his Vamana outfit on, and Gavin's just holding a flag, like, "Hey guys."
Yeah, you know what, Gavin would have been a perfect Mercury. He's got that kind of stature right there. He would have been perfect for Mercury. He reminds me of the Mercury.
Gavin would work better as Cupid.
Oh, Cupid would have looked good. Yeah, he's got that baby face to him, so he'd be good.
There he is. You see, everybody's dressed up, and you just got the guy in the Smite shirt. Like, come on.
Those of you guys not familiar, Gavin's kind of overseeing a lot of everything related to streaming for Smite Game, and I think my understanding he's moving more into like a project manager role now. But that's exactly who he is. And believe it or not, who else was in here? Gabe was there too. Gabe was there in flip-flops in the next picture over.
Mm-hmm. But that's like the cosplay picture. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right.
It looked like a lot of fun though. I had a lot of friends that were there. So you said Hi Rez was doing other stuff. There was an esports common announcer question and answer panel.
Oh, okay.
That APC was a part of.
Okay.
There was a gaming etiquette panel that Kelly was a part of.
Did you get a chance to see any of these? Like, were any of them streamed?
I pestered Adam. I pestered APC about 27,000 times.
That'd be great to see.
To at least like record on his phone the esports panel, because I'm an esports nerd and like I need my fix. and he was like, yes, yeah, and like, yeah, that's it.
That's the one
But,
thing. That's the one thing about.
Totally do that.
Yeah, that's the one thing about these events. Like, there's so many panels, and there's so much that like we as the home audience would love to watch. I'd love to see, and if it's out there, someone please tell me. But somewhere, that PAX has published like all the panels recorded that you can just go back and watch them. I think that would be awesome.
Well, PAX has the whole like Twitch setup.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Oftentimes they stream a ton of it.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. A lot of it's streamed, and you can catch that out. Dragon Con, not so much, but I mean, Hi Rez was doing their thing. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends that are like cosplayers that were down there like doing cosplay, and one of the. Honestly, I really think I just know her from Twitter.
Okay.
This girl, Ali Spagnola, she's like a musician, and she performed down there at Dragon Con. So it's like this whole big. I mean, homie, I didn't even know Dragon Con existed, like before 2 weeks ago. Like I didn't even know it existed, and it looked like a lot of fun. So if any of you guys have a chance to go, let us know in chat because I'm really jealous that I'm gonna ban you. So.
Yeah. Moving on from there, this is a Reddit post that I thought I'd bring up. Most of the time, I don't really like to bring up some of the like, drama or witch hunts that do come up on Reddit, but I think this is a good one to talk about, to say the least. So, and a big reason is 250 plus comments on Reddit, and it was upvoted quite a bit. There was a post on Reddit that said, "A call to arms to European players. We have to act over the server issues. We have to make Hi Rez take the server problem seriously." And I'll throw a link in chat about it. There's quite a bit of discussion back and forth. And, I'm not an EU player, so I don't experience this. But, just from reading a lot of the comments, and sometimes it can just be people getting a little out of hand. Are any of you guys familiar? Like, do EU players, I mean, especially with you, Dean Machine, doing a lot of admin work and stuff. Is there a big ping or server issue that you're aware of, or what?
Yeah. There's, like, oftentimes we'd have to, I don't know how much I can say.
Word it properly, that's what I'll say.
Let's see. We'd have to remake some games and stuff like that due to possibly bad servers or just bad connections to servers. We're not sure if, we being me, aren't sure if it's, like, the backbone, because it seems like half the people will get great connections, and then, like, one person won't. And so it's like, is it the fact that maybe the connection from Israel to Britain is crappy? Or, maybe Israel to Germany is good, but the Israel to Britain is crappy. It's something like that.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's even really something that they could fix, because it might be more of an infrastructure problem than it's just the servers and you don't have enough bandwidth.
I mean, it sounds a little bit, too, regarding, like, the ISP hops that each individual's person is making in order to get to... Because the server is in Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct or no?
Is that why the ping is so high?
I think I'm pretty sure it's in Amsterdam, to be honest with you, and I just wonder if that's what is the challenge here. Where I don't know the details. I'm eager to find out. From someone with a little bit more technical background from Hi Rez, if it's server infrastructure or if it's actually like ISP battles that they're dealing with overseas.
I mean, the other thing you got to keep in mind, a lot of times. Like, I have the European friends that I play with in the mornings, because typically I stream and play in the morning, so I play with a lot of Europeans. They don't touch the Euro servers. They play on North American servers. They're like, I'd rather play on the 150 ping solid servers than the... Because what'll happen is they'll have a great ping, and they'll be great. And then once every 20, 30 minutes, he'll get, like, this incredible lag spike, and then it'll come back down. And it's like...
That's definitely odd. I mean, it's a shame that you have people doing that, like, oh, I'm from EU and I'm playing on NA servers just to get by. But, I mean, I just thought I'd bring it up because it definitely sounds like an issue there. Something like this where it becomes quite large on Reddit, I think is sometimes not the best way to go, but I think it's definitely a way to get Hi Rez's attention, and I think that was the purpose of this. And hopefully we hear something from Hi Rez that just kind of says, hey, we understand there's an issue, or we hear your struggles, and we're hoping to correct it here in the future. None of us work for Hi Rez directly, so we couldn't necessarily give you an exact answer as to what's going on or what could be done, but I thought it was something good to bring up. If you guys have more details or want to give us a little bit more insight that we don't understand, go ahead and just email it to the show, SmiteUpdate@gmail.com, and we'll definitely take a look at some of your emails. So moving on from there, I have a few last things before we get into Streamer of the Week. The Odyssey, pretty much the final item, kind of has a unique a way of being actually made. It looks like that the community is going to have an opportunity here. I mean, it pretty much says the Smite Odyssey gives you bonus exclusive items, and they said for the first stage, we have selected a panel of judges that will pick from a list of skin ideas.
Toast.
So, so pretty much what will happen is that final item in the Odyssey. I think is it 21 items? Am I correct there?
Yes.
It's like 21 items total.
It's 21 items.
Okay.
3 items over 7 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you, F. And so that final item will be judged upon, where skin ideas are given to Hi Rez Stu, Hi Rez Drybear, Hi Rez Bart, Hi Rez Kelly, and then the last one says Smite Game. So I guess there's some type of voting process there. But this is pretty cool to see. I like this kind of community interaction, and the community is kind of the best source for coming up with some of these skin ideas. I mean, Hi Rez can come up with some great ideas, but when you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people watching, that could possibly come up with a great one. This is a good route to go. So Thanatos is your idea, huh, F. Did you send that one to Hi Rez too?
I sent it to Bart, actually. Let me see if I can find this tweet, because basically I like Thanatos, and I also like toast. So I combined 2 of my loves into a single.
What about powdered Thanatos Man? He flies backwards when he gets up into the air. Did you not watch Ren and Stimpy?
I did many moons ago. I'll give you that I did recognize it was a Ren and Stimpy reference, but I couldn't place it.
Powdered Toast Man flew backwards.
That's
feet
funny.
first.
DM Machine, any ideas from your point of view that you'd recommend? Skin ideas?
That aren't been very interested in Thanatoad skin. Because
Thanatoad.
I have a toad that lives in my studio. And
you have a toad?
Yeah, I have. Well, my studio is attached to my house. My studio it's basically a workshop that I converted into a studio.
Right.
And so it's not exactly insulated or well built or anything that's nice. And as you can see, I mean, there's a water standing down the back from rain leaking through my roof.
Oh, jeez.
So bugs get in here, and I was sitting here one day, and there was just a roach sitting on the floor, and I'm like, whatever, it'll leave at some point. And Toad hops up, looks at it, hops up and eats it, and I was like, you can stay!
Yes! I don't like bugs, but I do like
it happened while I was on
amphibians.
Smite Game, and so I showed them on the camera what they did, and they're like, oh my god, we should name him! And so we went through this big naming scheme, and we named him Thanatoad. So I think we should go with the Thanatoad skin.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think there's...
I was looking for a picture of Thanatos. Can't find it, but I did find this, which is just as good.
Okay.
I linked it in chat.
Let's take a look here. Oh, I like that one.
Adonis.
That one's good. I'll throw that up on stream right now. That is a
Adonis.
that is a great one. Oh, there we go. That is
classic.
I know, right? That's perfect. All right. Well, good.
Does he actually wear glasses?
He does.
Okay.
You just never see him, I guess. With
he must wear contacts most of the time.
Yeah.
That I've seen him before.
Yeah, I think so. I think honestly, while we're on the subject, I mean, we're poking fun at Hi Rez Cream Puff, but
oh my word.
On a real level, I gotta say, when the pre-shows first started happening, it was kind of like you got the impression of like, quick, who do we have that can we put on stream and talk about esports? And I was like, oh,
okay.
I know Adonis, hooray! But now where we're at now, both Kelly and Adonis have really come incredibly far, and like watching Adonis, even when Brad is on the pregame show, bringing it down a notch, like Adonis is there, just like being a consummate professional, looking the part, sounding the part. I spend a lot of time poking fun at Adonis, but at the end of the day, the man has put in a lot of work, and I think the pregame show has come a long way, and it's now a solid part of SPL broadcasts, and I actually tune in. So tons of credit to both Kelly and Adonis. Tons of credit to them from coming, but more so Adonis. Like, Kelly's been on stream and been on camera. This is relatively new for Kevin. So like, tons of credit for him to just go, yo, I got to do this now, no doubt. And now he's killing it. I like it a lot. So 10 points. And now I'm gonna resume to hating on Adonis. I gotta let the truth come out a little bit.
That's good. That's good. Moving on from there, the Odyssey. Talking about the Odyssey a little bit here. If we go ahead and kind of take a look at where we're at, I'll go ahead and swap over here so you guys can see. And I'll link this in chat for you guys. This is kind of the page for the Odyssey right now. So the Odyssey, if you guys aren't familiar, is pretty much a, big, I guess it's like the big plan in order to increase the prize pool from the community purchases of different skins and wards and stuff like that. Right now, currently sitting at $667,000, which is amazing, and that only started out at 600, so we're at 67.6 right now. And 2 items have been released so far. You had the Run.exe skin, and then the newest one, which just came out as well, which was the Coliseum. That just came out, the ward skin. So if you guys have been away for about a week or so, that just came out. I definitely enjoyed the Run.exe a little bit more, but I understand that you can't have these amazing skins like the Mercury one every single week.
Right.
So the Coliseum's kind of your filler, pretty sweet type of skin as well. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what that last Roman one is, which I guess we'll see next week. I guess at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
I can tell you it's going to be something that doesn't stay in the same place.
Okay, thank you.
Because it's Roman.
Oh, dude, what is up with the show? Oh my word, you are
like Roman. Get it?
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh my word. You're a disaster.
Steven didn't get it at first. Steven didn't get it at first. It took him a second.
So this type of BS is what I deal with every week. So it just naturally clicks. I'm like, oh my word, like seriously. Where Yeah. Moving on. Last thing before we jump to Streamer of the Week. Smite Showcase with Hi Rez Andy and Hi Rez Kelly. Dean Machine, first thoughts before I get to F-Dot, because I know he always has lots to say about this kind of stuff.
Actually didn't get to see it.
Oh!
The problem is that comes on after the Pro League, right?
It's like 4 o'clock on Fridays.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the witching hour if I can't do anything, because I work all morning and work on the Pro League, and then when I'm done, my wife's like, "You better get in here and help me with these kids."
I know
and
that
so
feeling.
I got to go inside and do parenting type duties.
Sure.
And so then I can't do anything until like maybe 10, where I could possibly turn on a stream.
Mm.
And so when those things that happen between that time, unless they're patch notes, I'm like, "Woman, patch notes." But generally speaking, yeah, that's like my non-watching time, unfortunately.
Well, you missed quite a gem. We'll just put it that way. How about that intro, F-Dot? How about that intro? The best part.
Odyssey was turning over in his grave. That's all I was saying.
The best part was the ending. The last like 30 seconds. Do you remember the ending?
Of the musical intro?
No, the ending of the show. The very end of the show. The last 30 seconds. It's kind of like an outro they put together.
I do not recall.
It's Hi Rez Nabil, Hi Rez Todd, and Hi Rez Stu sitting at a table, calling the show trash and being like, "We're canceling it." Check out the
Robot Chicken reference.
I posted it.
Canceled.
Oh, I had to tweet directly at them right afterwards. I was like, best part of the show. It's a pretty cool show if you guys aren't familiar. The Smite Showcase airs Fridays at 4 as much as possible when there are no patch notes. I will put the link in chat. It will be in the comments as well. It's a show that highlights different types of content in the scene. You get like your Mishimina in there. You get YouTube. You get streamers in there. All different types of stuff. It's pretty much the art show, but for video content. So I think it's a really cool idea. It was interesting because I saw people like in chat being like, "Wow, like there's like people." Hating on it a little bit, some people, and not understanding that like, hey, when you start a show, it doesn't naturally flow. Like the first few episodes are quite a struggle. Everything's not perfectly polished. The transitions between everything, the host, the section, the different sections of the show, they take some time. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I think I look forward to it coming up in the future. F-Dot, you look so confused right now. Like
unrelated.
You got you're like on your brow, just like.
Unrelated. I know my brows are the size of a small European country, so anytime they actually move, I seem really expressive. I really do like the community showcase show. I actually thought it was hilarious. the musical intro. I actually tweeted, dude. As soon as it started, it was really funny. So we're all in chat. 70% of chat has no idea what's coming up.
Yep.
Right? They're just like, what is the community show? All of a sudden, you just have Kelly and Andy go, live show. What are we going to do right now? Live show. What are we going to do right now? And the whole chat is like, no! No! No singing! I immediately tabbed over to TweetDeck. I'm like, at Hi Rez Kelly, at Hi Rez. No! But it was like the perfect level of campy.
Yeah, it was good.
You know what I mean by that?
It was good.
It was like, I mean, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, is that what you would consider campy? Like, it was like the perfect level of campy. Like, it was campy enough to where it was making fun of itself to a certain extent.
Yep, exactly.
And then they got into the real show, which is really cool. They show like people from the community and smaller things. And I want to give a special shout out to Spiff Spinster, who didn't get highlighted.
Oh, that video! That video was awesome. That video was awesome.
He didn't get highlighted, and he made a video making fun of the fact that he didn't get highlighted. And it was very much tongue in cheek. It wasn't salty. Like in the description, it was like, "Dude, I'm not salty. This is just like a funny opportunity." And I think he killed it.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't make it to the community showcase, but you made it here on the second-rate shout-out show with F. And I really enjoyed that. And I'm not really one that like peruses YouTube and checks that stuff out. Special shout-out to that dude. And I really like that stuff. But you know, going back to what the community showcase is, it's really cool. It gives you an opportunity. If you're a new YouTuber, if you're an up-and-coming guy or girl that makes stuff about Smite, this is your shot. Go ahead and just like spam Kelly and Andy's Twitter with your stuff, and they might be interested, and you can get introduced there. But essentially, this is just Hi Rez doing what they do best, which is community outreach. I think that's one of the best things that you know this company does with our game, is that like there's very little royalty, if you will. Like if you make cool stuff, somebody's gonna mention it, somebody's gonna see it, and you could be cool too.
It's definitely good motivation for people, to say the least. You know, to make that content, to get it out there, to put the time into it. I mean, they definitely put it out. Like, you know, everyone's making content right now. If it's in-game video, or them just streaming or whatever. But they were pointing out some of the stuff that's different, and that some of the stuff that's a little more detailed and takes a little bit more time. So I thought it was a pretty cool idea, to say the least. So looking forward to it. And Hi Rez Kelly and Andy, keep it up. I think it's a really cool idea, and happy to see it. I like how it's kind of that filler when the patch notes isn't available either. So jumping in here, you know, I shouted out to everyone last week on the show and said, you know, hey, you know, streamer of the week, you know, we are looking for some recommendations from you guys, and we got a bunch of emails. And so I went ahead and went through quite a few of the emails, and a lot of the, you know, we had some emails from people that were like, hey, I'm a streamer, here's my info, here's the kind of stuff I do. And that was good. But then there were some emails from people that were, hey, I'm recommending this person, and here's why, type of deal. And this one comes from C3PO. Had actually recommended this. I actually saw him in chat. So thank you for emailing us the show. He said, he emailed us, said, I would like to nominate Weekend, the jungler, for Snipe. Yes, I know he's a pro player, but he only gets about 20 views when the pros are streaming and 30 views when the pros are not streaming. But he's a very talented player and pays a lot of attention to chat almost all the time. Very nice attitude and is very friendly. So he goes on to explain a little bit there. So I thought that I would definitely go ahead and push this out to you guys, as our streamer of the week is Weekend from Snipe. And you don't necessarily have to be a pro player. Like, you know, this was just someone that we grabbed from here. You could just be a Joe Schmo that is a streamer. But, you know, this is the person that we're highlighting this week. So I will go ahead and put his Twitch information in chat. And please make sure you guys go over and follow and support him, to say the least. And Buddha will be able to push it out. Yep, there it is. Thank you, Buddha, our moderator, as well. So let's go into community emails. I'm going to push the first one off to F. It's a little bit lengthy, but I think the guy makes some great references, and he uses some sports analogies, so I thought it was right up F.'s alley. So F. Why don't you take our first community email?
All right. Email from Dynamic, spelled completely incorrectly. Shouts to that man with his creativity. With the SPL starting and the ESL Fantasy League as well, I had a few question points. Homie doesn't know English, but okay.
Yo, you gotta read it how it is. It was emailed.
All right. I had a few points for you guys to talk about, discuss. The pressure placed on players by lesser members of the community, as well as constant mentions by casters, etc. I do understand that they are pros, but they aren't making the same as larger leagues players who have their every stat analyzed, spelt incorrectly. Also, the stats seem weird for fantasy, as far each role getting the same points, and assists being worth 2. It seems like assists should be 2 for support, and 1 for every other roles. I enjoy both this show and other content you produce, as well as yourself and FDOT. FDOT always reminds me of a cross between Mike Francesca and Chris LaRusso. I'm a New Jersey native, so I grew up with Mike and the Mad Dog. Keep up the good stuff, guys. I do appreciate the compliment on being compared to some of the titans of the radio broadcasting industry. However, Mike Francesca, I guess I do hurt people's feelings a little bit. So
No.
Mike Francesca's good, but I mean, Mike Francesca's literally the guy that. So he's interviewing somebody. I'll answer this question in a second, but Mike Francesca's interviewing somebody. He's like, so you know, random coach 27. How do you feel about this? And he actually fell asleep on air.
Wow.
I'm not that guy, but no.
I don't think you're that guy. I don't think you're that much. Yeah, to say the least.
Anyway, thank you for the kind words. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you watching the show. Special shout out to Dynamic. Definitely, and this is an awesome topic to bring up.
Sure. Go with it.
I've actually been talking about this with people on the sidelines. So, twofold: the pressure placed on players. Say that 3 times fast. The pressure placed on players by lesser members of the community. I don't like that statement specifically, but I get what you're talking about, and I don't care. Basically, when you're being a pro, and this is half controversial, essentially. So like, I kind of feel like you're a pro, you're doing this for a living, and your goal is to, either way, you know you're going to be in the spotlight. You need to just suck up negative criticism. You know, I think that sometimes chat can get harsh.
Yeah.
And while I feel for the people, while I feel for the players, that's sort of your job. And while I'm not endorsing some of the harsher stuff that people say, once things step into the ad hominem range, I get really, like, irritable about that stuff. But, you know, somebody says you're feeding and you have 6 deaths. I'm sorry, bro.
You're feeding.
That's, like, you got to get used to that.
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony, forward for the New York Knicks, will score 50 points and then wake up to a New York Post saying that he's trash and he needs to be traded. Does he go and cry on Reddit?
Yeah.
Or does he tweet all upset? No, because that's his freaking job. You're in the spotlight. And I mean, like, comparing they're not making the same money, it's irrelevant, in my opinion. It's not a completely garbage point. I will, like, you know, okay, you have some sort of merit, but not enough for me to actually care. So I think that by putting yourself in a position to be a professional player, you have to accept the fact that being in the spotlight, you're going to be chastised regardless if it's correct or not.
Yep.
For example, a lot of times as a caster, I don't look at chat, but sometimes I tab over and I see it. And I'll make a call that I'm confident in, and my team will say, great job. And then there's like one dirtbag in chat that's like, oh my god, this FDOT guy sounds like the nanny. I hate him. Can we get rid of him? And I'm like, you're wrong. You don't know anything. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's how chat is in general, but there's always going to be one dissenting opinion. And you have to take the good with the good and ignore the bad if you're going to be in the state of the spotlight.
Okay.
That is one of the biggest things. And then secondary is the comment about Fantasy League, and I do think it's overstressed by casters. Right now it's the new toy.
Yeah,
and
it
everyone's
is.
playing with it.
Yep.
And it's cool, and it's fun. And I actually think one of my favorite calls this weekend was when Reels died for the first time after getting 10 kills. Bart just goes, my fantasy points! Like, I like the occasional shout out, especially when it's tongue in cheek, because, and TV made this statement, ESL Fantasy supports the SPL, not vice versa. We should be caring about the SPL first and foremost, and the Fantasy League comes secondary to it.
Sure,
so
I agree.
I do like the occasional shout out, especially when you're having fun with it. By no means do I ever think that casters should be serious about their comments in fantasy, and I think they've been doing a good job with that. And if I had to find a criticism, I think it has just come up too much. But it's, like I said, it's just it's the new toy. So next week, the week after, I think we'll see a dwindling in the mentions of fantasy. And that's essentially how I feel about the fantasy. It shouldn't be the #1 focus. And right now we're just mentioning it because we want to hype it up, we want to market it, etc. But as the season rolls on, I think we'll see a little bit step back from that, and more onto the actual meat and potatoes, which is the actual league itself.
Sure. Demon Machine, what are your thoughts on that email from that individual regarding, feeling the pressure placed on players right now and stuff like that, and then the second half, which is more the ESL related? I mean, you interact a lot with the players. What are your thoughts?
If that pretty much sums it up. I mean, you're in the spotlight. Either learn to deal with it or get out of the spotlight. You got those two options.
Yeah.
Because you are there, you are going to get it whether you want it or not. So either don't read the chats or anything ever and just kind of, play and ignore everything else, or just read it and be like, take it with a grain of salt is my best, advice. Is like, listen to people that love you and listen to people that hate you, because you will learn far more about from the people that hate you when they say things, because you can just kind of take it and think about it. Wonder, is that true or is it not true? You don't want to take it don't consider it too long, but do consider it. So, I mean, that he pretty much summed that up. Where it comes to the fantasy league, it's pretty much the same way. It's just, it doesn't need to be like every 5 minutes mentioned. Maybe like when Reels finally does die at the 10-minute mark, or at 10 kills, then it's like, no, all those points, or, stuff like that, where it's just like a super critical thing where suddenly everything's going to change. It's very, key, but that's probably where it should stay and go, because TV probably said it best. It supports the Smite. Although I do think it's a very entwined relationship, because we, as the people interacting with the pro or the fantasy league, really are more encouraged to watch the pro league because we want to see our players doing well.
Correct.
So it's kind of a hand-in-hand thing. So we want to encourage people to use the fantasy league because that'll encourage them to watch, and vice versa. Because a lot of people that it's just on stream, it can be a little dry for people that aren't super understanding. Maybe they're very new and they're like, I don't quite understand all this, but you get the fantasy league into this, it gives them a little bit more interaction. Maybe they start researching players because they're like, oh, I want to pick up my team. I should actually find out what they do, what teams they're on and stuff. So it could be a great boom for the community in the future.
Yeah, no, I could agree. I mean, looking at the way the ESL is at this point, F.Dot and I talked about how the Smite competitive scene has kind of taken that next step now with the SPL, where you as a viewer can get behind a team because of the way the schedule's listed now, and you can get on at 1:30 and watch that specific team, and there's a connection starting with the teams. Well, now with the ESL, now we're starting to see more connection with the players as well, where people almost are starting to feel this connection with the players. Like, every day I have up my ESL roster when I'm watching, and I'm like rooting for those individual players and tuning into those things, and so people are almost starting to hold players accountable in and I don't want to say like in a very high pressured way. Like, if Reels has a bad game, I'm not sending him a tweet being like, dude, you just cost me X amount of points. Now, granted, I have seen them. Yes, I have seen them. For me personally, I'm like, dang, Reels had a crappy game. That sucks for me, whatever. Maybe I'll consider trading him, maybe not, type of deal. And that's just an example. I will not be trading Reels. Right. But outside of that, I'm just saying, that's just kind of where it's becoming. But, just like we talked about the next step for Smite in the competitive scene, this fantasy league has been huge for the players and the teams from a brand awareness perspective. Not only for the players, but also for the teams that are in it. Because now, like, people are connecting these players with the teams and vice versa. So I think it's huge, and I'm really excited for it. I'm super excited for it, to say the least. And the pressure there, I feel like it's good pressure. I think it's good pressure, and the scene's only going to get bigger, and these people are only going to become, they're only going to get more pressure if you look at it. They're only going to get more moving forward. Moving on here for the next email. This one comes from Next Wave Gaming. This was actually a gentleman that emailed us quite a few weeks back, maybe months back, and was starting up a Smite type of calendar website and just wanted us to kind of take a quick look. So this is him emailing us back saying, hey, we took your feedback. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but pretty much nextwavegaming.com, they emailed us And, you know, they kind of said, we've gone ahead and taken everything on Smite Game, put it into a calendar layout so you guys can see it in a nice calendar layout. And then what they've done is gone ahead and started to add streamers to that as well and their own streams. So you could go over there and submit your information to be on their calendar for when you're streaming and your schedule is available. And so this is kind of what we discussed quite a ways back being really great for the scene. They're doing that. And they have this for NA events, for EU events. They have separate calendars for each. So nextwavegaming.com, one of our mods will go ahead and put that in chat for you guys here in a minute, and make sure that you guys go check them out. I'll throw it over to Demon Machine if you want to take the next one. Sure, the last email that we have there, email number 3.
Well, real quick, I just want
Sure,
to touch
go
upon,
for it, please.
Next Wave Gaming is also doing much more than the calendar.
Okay.
They're doing interviews. They have an interview with Mortality, namely Sayo and
Okay.
iRaffer up there. They recently interviewed Jeff Hinla and Barracuda.
Ooh, nice.
And they're going to interview some garbage caster on Monday. I think his name is F.
Oh, look at self-promotion right here. Little plug.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be doing an interview with them, but what's interesting to me is that they're actually going out there and doing it. We see a lot of organizations coming out, or a lot of like people coming out and, you know, writing about what everybody else is doing. Well, Next Wave Gaming is going out there and just hitting up Mortality and saying, hey, can we interview? And hitting up Cognitive Gaming and saying, hey, can we interview you? So it's more fresh, original content from the first-party source. There's no third-party telephone games being played. So please give them a visit. It's nextwavegaming.com, and hopefully we have another standpoint of the community here.
Yeah, is that are they video interviews or are they just like article based, like just text? They interview.
They're text.
Okay, great. Sounds good. I think that's great. I mean, FDOT is always an advocate for us seeing more and more articles out there, more and more writers out there. So this is just another great source for that. And make sure you guys give these the attention they deserve, guys, and check out this website. Once again, nextwavegaming.com. So now, since we interrupted Demon Machine from starting his email, we'll go ahead and pass it over to him. And why don't you read our final email for this week?
Sure. To sum it up, it's pretty much that Pete loves to play Arena and is very good at it, but has a difficult time finding it challenging or competitive because, you know, it's like ranked where you get into it and people just don't care. They don't, you know, really feel like playing it. They're just like, YOLO, I want to take Arachne in mid. And so how do you do that? Is there a way to play Arena kind of competitively? Not really. I mean, the best thing you could probably do is find 4 friends and, you know, try and take it seriously. But then the difficulty you'll probably run into is you're just going to roll over most people. It's kind of a tough one because, A, the game isn't specifically balanced around Arena. So there's going to be several things that you might find that are just totally broken. This is like way out of, you know, we could abuse this and abuse that, and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, you used to have Arena ranked, but they took that away 6 months ago.
A while ago.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And just because nobody played it. So it's mostly, unfortunately, just not there. There are intermittently Arena tournaments, and, you know, Hi Rez did run an Arena tournament probably 4 months ago.
Oh, okay, that was like the Alienware one?
Had probably one of the largest turnouts we've ever had for a tournament.
Yes.
Until this past NA tournament.
Until the Challenger series. That's all I'm saying.
It was 84 teams. Oh my god. But
420 players.
Yeah.
Yep, 420 players because Kret loves 420.
84 times 5 is 420. I'm just giving you the number.
It is.
Just saying. Just saying. I think the big one with this question is, you know, and we, you know, there are those players out there that take Arena very seriously, and Arena's all they play and stuff like that, and I understand it. People need to understand, like, Hi Rez Chris came on the show quite a few months back and said, you know, hey, we removed Arena ranked because the population was not high enough in order to justify it. Plain and simple. That was what he had said on stream. You know, we had him on the show, and you know, hopefully we'll get back to that point where the scene, you know, the entire Smite scene has grown enough where they can justify that. You know, and those types of players then have that outlet, because I think they should have that outlet. But Hi Rez also needs to do like a little, you know, they're doing quality control here where they don't want to have Arena ranked out there and then the queues be obnoxiously long. So they've removed that, and so I think it'll be great, something to look forward to in the future once we start to, you know, breach those population numbers. But I just don't think we're there right now, and there's nothing wrong with taking it competitive. The only thing I can say there is your next best thing outside of casual queues is to find 4 other people that take it as seriously as you do and queue as a 5-man team.
You know what? My advice is one of the coolest things I found is the inclusion of. I feel like this was glossed over. Not a lot of people give this enough credit. When Hi Rez changed the lobby system for custom games, there's now you can go and view all the custom games being made, and there's a title of the game type. And a lot of times, I'm notorious for just playing Conquest. Sometimes I'll peruse and it's like 2v2, start at level 15, 1600 gold, or like 2300 gold, please buy Soul Reaver. And like people come up with these awesome like individual types of gameplays. That could be a spot for your arena. Get like just pop in, be like serious arena, only join if you want to play seriously. And like I'm sure you're gonna get some nerd that's like, oh well, I'm the spider. But like that's probably the best chance you have, you know. Either make a lobby and just say serious arena play only. You know, have bands, pick Shibalonki and Odin.
It's a great idea.
Like
it's a great idea.
I casted the arena tournament. I know it's broken. But, you know, like pick your Shibalonkis and stuff, and you know go ham, and that's how a sub community is born. You know, you just do it, and people come. You know, I think about back when I was really into like wall ball as a kid. You just keep showing up to the same park, just slap that ball against the wall.
There you
Somebody's gonna come by and be like, "Yo, can I play?" No doubt. You fast forward 2 months, now we've got 10 dudes playing wall ball. You know what I mean? People bring their friends.
On your back too.
Yeah. Exactly. Now you got 20 people playing round robin wall ball. Like, that's how it happens. So it all happens from one guy that wants to play arena competitively. Start a competitive arena individual room. See who comes. See who likes it. Take note of who's serious and who's a troll, and just keep on doing it. Create your own community. It's a beautiful tool that Hi Rez has given us. So that would be my #1 advice. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking for the expansion of those custom games. Like, I think that custom module that they do have right now, they're so far, like, they could go so far with that, and I'm looking forward to it. This is kind of their first step. If you look at other games out there, custom games have a huge following. And there's some really big ones out there. I always reference StarCraft 2 because that's where I came from before Smite. And there was a huge following when, in there, like, you have map designers just for custom games. You have huge tournaments that go on for custom games. So I'm looking forward to that with Smite. And I think that's a niche that I would love to see as over the next 2 to 3 years, a little bit more investment in it.
Yeah, I mean, our game that we play right now would not exist if there was no custom game feature. Our game is obviously based off of the MOBA gameplay style, which is based off of it's actually Aeon of Strife, if you want to be that big nerd. But Dota is the real game that it was based off of. And Dota was just some dude took the custom game thing for Warcraft 3 and was like, hey, I like playing heroes. Let's do heroes only. You guys down? I guess we'll make 3 lanes. You guys down?
Yeah.
And fast forward 10 plus years, and that's where we're at now. So this entire genre, League, Smite, all the other guys that do this, happened because of some nerd with a custom thing. Shouts to Ice Frog. So like a lot of things should be born of the custom game type, and I too would like to see an expansion, but later
in due time.
For now, I celebrate the people that start their own custom lobbies. At like, hey, grab bag's not available in the match of the day. I'm gonna make my own grab bag lobby.
There you go.
Let's do it. You know what I mean?
I just can't wait for the when you can make your own lobby that you can all pick all gods, like 5 new laws, stuff like that. Just for even testing purposes and stuff like that. Like, does this Soul Reaver thing really work? All those good things.
It'll be fun. It'll be really fun, and I think it's so many possibilities with it. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and end our community email section here of the show. I want to remind you guys, if you guys do want to email the show, please feel free to. Any questions, comments, topics you want us to bring up, check it out, SmiteUpdate@gmail.com, and I go through them, try to weed out some of the ones that are the same questions over and over again. But I look for some of the ones that people have actually spent time, like the ones today, and do put them on the show. So once again, SmiteUpdate@gmail.com. Before we jump in here to our next topic, I want to remind you guys there's a streamer feedback button directly below this video if you're watching live on Twitch. Please make sure you guys click the streamer feedback. It's listed under Octane Pro. It could actually be under FDOT now. just because, you are probably listed under there now as well. So either myself or F. Dot, pick one and give some streamer feedback regarding the show. We'd love to hear about it. Hi Rez loves to hear that something like this, a community-driven show, is appreciated by you guys. So please go on there, click the streamer feedback button. It does worlds for us. Trust me, guys. We always enjoy seeing positive comments about the show. So please make sure you click that button down there.
I like to make fun of the negatives.
Yes, we get plenty of those emails as well. Moving on from there, I just want to remind you guys, if you guys are looking for some community tournaments throughout the week or the weekend that aren't, the Challengers Cup or the SPL, Smite Central and Tier Monster both host their own tournaments. Please make sure that you guys do go ahead and do that. Smite Central has a multitude of different tournaments, 3 versus 3. They have Battle for Valhalla, stuff like that. And then Tier Monster has, their code green, and then occasionally their code black. Which are, if you guys are just a single guy that you're looking to jump into a tournament, you don't have a team together, go ahead and join, Code Green. And it's kind of that pickup style where, like, they put you in a group, they use a large community mumble, and, kind of have some fun. So check that out, SmiteCentral.com and TierMonster.com, but only if you're single, right, F. Dot?
A different type of Smite matchmaking for the single guys out there.
I knew that's what you were laughing about as I said it.
You phrased that so incorrectly, but the thought process was right.
After I said it, compared to being like pickup style, I said, if you're single, this is for you. Like,
for all you single guys out there, I was just like, oh, Octane. You are like the Amelia Bedelia of Smite.
I hate you.
Oh my goodness.
So moving on. I'm going to throw the next one to F. Dot. So we're moving into our esports update here, and we did have we'll throw it over to F. Dot. F. Dot, take it away.
What can I say? This was one of the biggest weeks, if not the biggest week, for Smite eSports thus far. This week, if you guys haven't been following, first of all, what the hell is wrong with you, as I always say. But second of all, Wednesday was the beginning. It was the inaugural game, this kickoff day, opening day of the Smite SPL, the Smite Pro League. What that is, it's 6 teams from each region, North America and Europe. They play on a daily basis, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's it. We rest for 2 days, then we come back on Wednesday, and we go ahead and we continue playing. You can check out the schedule right here. So I'll link that right there, and you can automatically see just what we're dealing with, how real this stuff looks, and this is much different than the weekend tournaments that we're used to seeing. You used to tune in for like 12 hours and maybe catch your team play a game if it was streamed. And if they lost, tough noogies, we'll see you next weekend. This is much different. Teams have earned their spot to be in the top 6, and now they play each other twice over a 7-week period. So like I said, it started on Wednesday, and we had SK play Cloud9. Mortality, if you guys don't know who Mortality is, they started off in Smite. They've expanded. They're an up-and-coming, very cool organization, and they picked up Walk It Off. So all the teams in blue are European, obviously, and the European game started at 1:30 EST. So if I go ahead and use my trusty BST converter, 1 p.m. It starts about like 11 at night to catch the stuff if you're over there, or actually I'm completely incorrect. It starts about 6 at night. So it's 6 at night. If you're trying to catch that in Europe, you can check that out. North America is going to be a little bit later. That's later in the day at 7:30. So you're looking more at like midnight 1 time. Yeah. But it's worth it. I know a lot of my European friends that do stay up to watch it. Cognitive Red, Team Dignitas, Fat Chunks Assemble, Cog Prime, Thirst, and Snipe. They're all competitive teams. So while you might see one team do better than another, you're not going to see too many of the stomps that you used to see on the weekend tournaments. You're not going to, these are all pro teams, quite literally. You're not going to see any of the lackluster games where, so and so it's the 50th minute, folks. We have a score of 9-7, and Fire Giant hasn't been touched. Somebody, please save me, help me. That is what I feel like when I cast some of those games, and you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
So and taking a look at the standings, all of it honestly has been pretty close, and exciting. One of the criticisms that people had of the old one of the criticisms that people had of the old tournament situation was Cog always wins. It's always Cog and
Yeah.
Dig in the finals. How do we stop that? Well, you want something changed? Dig is 0-4, and Team Solo Mid is 1-3. You can't predict anything in this league.
Yeah.
Like, Team Solo Mid, winners of the launch tournament, are 1-3, and Dignitas, the team they fought against, have not won a game yet.
Yeah.
So you can't really predict anything. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, it goes hand in hand with the ESL fantasy that we were talking about. Once again, you can catch that 1:30 EST during for the Europeans and 7:30 EST for the North American stuff. Standings can be found right here. As always, go to esports.com, esports.hirezstudios.com, and you can find all the stuff, as well as if you hit up the Smite Pro YouTube, you can check out the VODs from that.
I love that, by the way. I think that's awesome. Like, they're getting those VODs up there, like, within a few hours, which is really cool if you miss it.
You're welcome.
You know, hey, just saying. But Dean Machine, you know, I'll throw it over to you. You're kind of taking a different approach, you know, compared to your traditional viewer to this. But, you know, SPL, first, it's quite different for us in the Smite scene. You've been in the Smite scene a little bit longer than me, actually, and we've been around for quite a while. You know, what are your thoughts on the format of it, the schedule, production, competition, everything thus far, now that we've completed week 1?
It's fantastic. I mean, I've been playing Smite since day one of closed beta, excuse me.
Yeah.
So May 31st, 2012. Actually, you can find out what order you joined the game by there's like a little ID thing in the API. It's pretty neat.
Oh, now I want to look.
But anyway, so once upon a time we tried to go with this WOGL, World Games Online League.
What?
World Online, yeah, Woggle Cooper. But
Woggle Cooper.
BLG
it
Demon
didn't really
Machine.
work out as well as we wanted it to because the scene wasn't big enough, and
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And so now this is the fruition of the dream that we all had starting off, and it's so great because a lot of the same guys that were playing then are playing in the Pro League now.
Right.
And it's just awesome to see it just finally coming true. I mean, we get to literally sit down at 1:30 and be like, yes, time for the games. Let's have a nice time, watch, and make sure nothing breaks. The production is just awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
the
through the roof.
moving people for the picks.
That is
When
so
that-
cool.
When
That
I saw that,
oh.
I lost my mind.
Yeah,
I thought that was hot.
can we interject and give a round of applause, not just to the people that pull it off, like Becky's and
Pon,
you know,
yeah.
Adonis and Pon, but also Hi Rez Josh. He's the one that puts a lot of that stuff together.
Yeah.
Hides behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So you know,
He spends
don't
a
get me
ton of
wrong.
time
Homie
on
makes his fair share of mistakes. Look at you, Josh, for this weekend. But he when it gets right, he knocks it out of the park. And you know, all this stuff like Denton, like I saw Denton come by with the scoreboard.
Yeah, that was
I
cool.
love that stuff.
That
That stuff is cool as hell.
that was
I
really
think
cool.
The production quality is stepped
Yeah.
up, and I love it.
Yep. No, I was very. I put Hi Rez Josh's Twitter in chat. Go follow him, guys. He does not have enough. He only
Probably never checks it.
he has 625 followers. So you know we have 1,300 people watching, give or take. So I'm hoping we can get quite a few more follows there for him. But no, I agree with you. I mean, it's quite impressive. We haven't, as you said, we haven't really had anyone tap into this style of play since Woggle back in 2012 at all. And it's not that, you know, our scene at certain times has matured to a point where it definitely could have happened. Nothing to do with age, folks, but just to the point where we're at now, and with Hi Rez running it as well, it kind of has a lot more support and backing with it. And I think it's very effective. I mean, the biggest thing in the past, like when Woggle existed 2 years ago, the problem was not with, you know, the game or anything. The problem there was just the fact that like teams didn't stay together for more than like 2 weeks, it seemed like back then. So like it was a huge problem. Now granted, we've gone through that over the last several weeks with roster changes, you know, cheating problems that have come up, stuff like that, which have caused huge problems for teams. Just saying. But now, you know, we're at a point now where like where the scene is so much older now, and we were able to get into this, and this stuff is awesome. Like we had Woggle had the tournament organization had the right idea 2 years ago, but we just weren't there yet. They were hoping to do something that they saw other scenes doing, like League of Legends and Dota, but we weren't there yet. And now that we're doing this now, like I feel like the success is huge. You know, with this, I mean, with SPL and the timing of this kind of team league style over a 7-week period, in hand with the fantasy league, I think is huge. You know, the ESL Fantasy League. And, you know, just as Demon Machine said, like, the production quality was through the roof. The animated characters during the selection screen was great. You know, that I think that caught a lot of us off guard, not expecting that at all. And it's worked out really well. The graphics are much better. Like, the quality is there now. Like, before a game starts, you have both the team logos kind of sitting there, and I love the player introductions as they're introducing the players. They have these cool screens come up, and if they have a graphic for them,
Yes.
yeah, that's good too. Like, there's just
that is super important to me, man. Like, that is when I first started coming here, when I first started coming into the scene. That is one of the biggest things to me with esports is connecting the audience with the player behind the character. Because one of the cooler things about esports is that you can watch, Laz's go 8 million and 0 on Loki. And then you can play Loki yourself. There's no difference. You don't watch. It's not like watching a professional basketball player and being like, well, you know, I'm not 7 feet tall, so that sucks. Like, you can do exactly what he does, but part of that problem is that there's a disconnect between players sometimes. You know,
that's a good point.
Going to launch tournament as somebody fully invested in the scene, I saw some of the players for the first time, and I think that kind of sucks.
Yep.
So having the intros with the players and, you know, seeing what everybody looks like and, you know, shout out to Next Wave Gaming and all these other people that are doing interviews. It's just fleshing out the scene. It's making it more real so that when you're sitting there and you're rooting for Dignitas and you're like, let's go Zapman, you know,
put a face
you're not
to
just rooting for an Anher, you're rooting for Steve Zappis, like the guy that likes techno music and lives in Florida. So that's like the cool thing, you know, and I love that, and I want more of that. So I'm into that, and that's one of my.
I'm looking forward to like some of the player recognition as well. Like, just as you talked about, like, now we're starting to see, like, you know, introducing Dignitas Zapman, and they come up with that slide comes up. You see his face, you see his name, you know his position. Now, you know, that's allowing people that, like, the next NA LAN event or the EU LAN event or like at Smite World, like, it's going to be huge for the players themselves, where they're not just going to walk through a lobby and no one's going to recognize them. They're going to be like, oh, that's Sayo. Like, I know exactly who you are. I see you every week. Like, you know, I know exactly who this person is, type of deal. So I think these things are big because we always talk about, like, where's the scene at right now? How far advanced are we? We always compare it to professional sports and stuff like that. This is that road. Like, we are on that road right now for the players and the team. So I'm super excited about it, to say the least. So, Demon Machine, thoughts now, week 1 on those standings? You know, if we take a look at them, 1 through 6, surprised, upset.
It's only the regionals all over again. I mean, when the regionals happened and suddenly everybody got knocked out and everybody else that was the underdog won it, everybody just, you know, collectively pooped themselves and said, I don't know what's going on anymore. And now it's even cooler. I think we'll see it flesh out. It is interesting to see COG Prime actually, they're doing very well. I'm very happy with them. Like, they've had a kind of a rough time since the launch tournament.
Correct, yep.
They haven't been like the number 1 like they used to be, where it was just, I mean, they were undefeated prior to that. So now you see them, they're picking their game up, and now it's just we're kind of waiting for Dignitas to really find their feet. I mean, you know, they're starting to run and they're getting better. They're not there yet, but I'm sure they'll get there very soon.
Yeah.
However, Mortality, they're just running away with it.
Talk about the underdog. Like, when you look at it, you know, they weren't a Cloud9, they weren't a TSM. Like, you know, they were a group of guys that kind of got, you know, thrown together. And yeah, I'll throw it to F. first, and then I'll make my comments for sure. So, F. what are your thoughts on the standings right now, NA and EU, and you know, we are in week 1. So, you know, it takes, you know, but we still...
4 weeks, lots more Smite to play.
Exactly.
So I guess the big elephant in the room is Team Dignitas. Team Dignitas is a former Titan of the league.
Oh, yeah.
And they started their season 0-4. All right? And so you take a look at the schedule, and Dignitas' first game was against Cognitive Red, the team that just won the regionals.
Yeah.
So that is... No team is ever okay with losing, but that's a game that, like, all right, we lost. Crap.
Yep.
You know? Then they go against Cognitive Prime, who... Cognitive Prime is one of the best online teams in the league. Again, Team Dignitas and COG used to be on the same level.
Huge Titans, a separate level. I feel like kind of like what Woofy said last week. Like they are on like a completely separate level. He had talked about than a lot of the other teams out there because of their past.
Right. So you had Cognitive and Dignitas, and then you had some of the other pro teams, and then everybody else. Losing to Cog was, realistically, with roster changes and such, Team Dignitas isn't the same Dig they used to be.
Correct.
So that lost to Cognitive Prime. Again, teams don't expect to lose against teams, but that is all right. Like, that sucks, but keep going. Looking at their third game against Fat Chunks Assemble, different worlds. I see somebody in chat telling me to stop giving excuses. I'm more setting the stage than giving excuses. Those like Cog Red and Cog Prime are uphill battles, and losing to them wasn't. It's not something that you write in your live journal about. Fat Chunks Assemble, on the other hand, somebody broke open the Zanga. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Fat Chunks Assemble is a team that I'm not going to call them bad, but they're definitely lower seeded for a reason.
Correct. Yep.
They earned their spot due to unconventional play. I'm not going to say gimmicky or cheese or troll or any of that crap, because unconventional play is very cool, it's exciting, and it's worthy talking about. Dignitas lost against them, and I said on stream and I said on Twitter that Fat Chunks was going to be a must-win for Dig. If they didn't win against Fat Chunks, that's proof to me that there's something inherently wrong. Because, like I said, the first two teams were hard, difficult teams to play against. Fat Chunks is a team that Dignitas should have beat, and they didn't. Yeah. And that, like I said, that was a must-win for the morality of the team. Not the morality, the morale of the team. That's a harder loss to take than losing to a cognitive gaming team. So that one, that was upsetting. And then you move on to today, where they lost against Snipe. And again, what I said was Dignitas against Fat Chunks. This is a must-win, not only for their standings to not be 0-3, but for their mindset. And they lost. And I said, okay, they lost to that. I'm interested in how they snap back versus Snipe.
Yeah.
They lost against Snipe, a team that they routinely farm. Something is wrong. There has been a roster change, and that happens. At some point, your roster changes go down because of synergy, and then you assume that they come up higher than where you were previously, which is why you made the change. At this point, it's the first week. There's many more weeks, and I don't think Dignitas is down for the count at all. But now I don't think it's panic time. I don't think you sound the alarm. I don't think you turn on the siren. But you start looking for the button. Yeah. It's week 1, so you don't have to be too concerned, but you have to be concerned. You've lost 4 games in a row, 2 of which I don't want to say should have won, but 2 of which could have been within reach of winning. So that's probably one of the bigger storylines here is Team Dignitas' fall from grace, and how long they'll stay down there. Because Zapman, I know I've talked about him a lot today. Zapman has some of the biggest drive in our entire pro scene. Okay. And Lazes just doesn't like losing. Yeah. And those guys can put their minds to things and single-handedly change the way of stuff. Whether it's more roster changes or whether it's gameplay style. Somebody said that Gnaw tweeted out. I kind of rash Gnaw. But somebody said that Gnaw tweeted out that they're going to change their gameplay style. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Dignitas, the core of that Dignitas team is a practiced, understanding team. They understand what it takes to win. And I would be surprised if they're 6th or 5th seed. I think that this 0-4 start is uncharacteristic despite the fact that they're not old Dignitas. And I think we'll see a turnaround soon. Yeah. Comment directly off of that. I'll talk about Dignitas first, just to transition into that, and then talk about everything else. Last week we spent a lot of time with Woofy, myself, and F. discussing the Team Dignitas changes. Not only the adjustment with Anatoly moving more into a coaching role and Xing filling in, and then the best and Shadow Ku parting ways as well. We talked a lot about and some of the things that I said last week was just you had a very strong foundation of very consistent players like Shadow Q, Anatoly, and the best that were very consistent, very good. That entire team over the past year has been very consistent. They've gone up and down, but they've recovered and they've done very well at tournaments. And we saw 3 out of the 5 members change from a team, and so
0-4, you know, this past week is a shame for Dignitas, but you know, players like Lassus and Zapman, they are your, you know, they make the plays.
They're winners.
They are. They're winners. In team fights, we look to them for the kills. In crazy backdoors by Zapman, we look to them for these players because of their play styles, and they're excellent. They're excellent at jungling and ADC. I mean, they're some of the best. Look at, like, I'm going to point back to it, the ESL Fantasy. Like, some of these guys are the more expensive guys to purchase for it. And now what's happening is, you know, week 1 didn't go so well. Well, that's understandable. They're pretty much a new team. I mean, you got 3 brand new guys out of 5. So I don't count Team Dignitas out at all. You know, I think that, you know, 1 week down, 6 more to go. I think, you know, week 2 might be a little better. I think week 3 might be on the up and up, and we might see that change. Hopefully that change kicks in sooner than later, just because of the way that this will work out moving into who moves on. So we'll definitely have to see. Outside of that, though, looking at NA first, Cognitive Red and Cognitive Prime. I know David Fry right now has to be pretty happy after week 1, seeing his 2 teams 3-0 and 3-1. I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. You know, Cognitive Red looked very good at the last LAN event, and Cognitive Prime, another very consistent team. Very consistent, and they're looking great. 3-1 right now. You know, not too bad at all. Swapping down the European scene. Who was the player on Exposed Secrets that just announced that they're stepping away from gameplay? Payne's, you know, stepping away. I guess he said his ping is too high, and that was, I think, is what I read.
Did he? I missed that.
It just came out.
Just stepped out. It was after the game today.
Yeah, he just said, I guess his ping is holding him back, type of deal. So eager to see what Exposed Secrets does. They're 1-2 right now. They're tied with SK Gaming, tied with Team Coast. So, you know, that could be a huge change for them with that swap out, or, you know, it could hurt them quite a bit. Cloud9 being consistent again, kind of same level as like Cognitive Prime, 3-1, and then Mortality you talked about 3-0, which between Mortality and Cognitive Red, like, I'm just like, I don't know, like, Mortality being 3-0 is quite impressive, to be honest with you. What are you shaking your head at?
I love Mortality.
Oh my word, dude, they're like, I don't want to say, they're kind of. They're kind of like the underdogs to me. Like, I look at the European scene, and I'm so excited because it's like, wow, like, we're not seeing a Team Solo Mid who dominated the launch tournament dominating now. We see Team Solo Mid in last, and we see the team with not as much land experience or competitive experience now in first, and they've looked really good. And I will have to say, you know, overall, to just cap things off, I know I'm going off on a rant here, the competitive turnaround in every game, almost every game this week has been amazing, where I have turned on a game, I watch it at work, so I don't pay attention to every aspect of it, but a decent amount of it, and I watch the game, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, Mortality's, you know, it's not starting out so well, you know, they're probably not going to, you know, they probably won't win this one. It seems like the other team, you know, I forget who it was. Who were they playing against? They started out, you know, with quite a few kills behind, and then all of a sudden they turned it around, like. And there's been several games like that this week. And that's the type of competition that I love to watch, where, like, it's like one-sided in the first, like, 5 minutes, and then as you approach mid-game, it starts to even up, and then it's anyone's game as you start to approach, like, 30 minutes and stuff. So I think this league has to be some of the best competition that I've seen so far out of Smite in the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, you know, going towards what you were saying originally about Mortality coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And referencing the conversation I'm having in chat with Yuseki Zoka, the newer teams, like you said, we're not seeing Cog and Dig and TSM dominate the Pro League.
Yep.
Which is awesome in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the dudes on those teams, but it's really cool seeing, like, you know, sure, Garth has been playing forever, and like, where did Boosh come from?
Who?
Like,
Who's
Moex? Like, these are straight new players.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that Boosh and Divios, that got, like, they've been playing for a long time, but these are new names to the competitive scene.
Correct, and we haven't really, you know, we don't really know much about them, and they've come into the scene now, and they've been around for a while. But this fresh blood, where, like, all of a sudden, you know, I'm gonna, reference back to, like, Zapman and stuff like that. Who is Zapman? And Lassus, who have been in the scene forever. It feels like now all of a sudden you have them going against this fresh blood, and, like, Mortality's looking really, like, you know, Mortality's an example, like some of these new underdog teams that come in and are doing well. It definitely, like, people that are out there that are like, wow, like, you know. Me and my buddies have gotten into Smite. We want to play. Like, the Challenger Cup is a route for you to play and get to where these guys are. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think you know, like we were talking a little bit about Mortality. I think that they were some of the most. There are some other teams that are deserving of sponsorships.
Yeah.
I think that Walk It Off, now Mortality eSports, is just they're a good team. They're good people. They're marketable. I mean, you got Sayo and iRaffer, who are two of like the, you know, iRaffer is one of the funniest dudes around, and Sayo, like, he's that brooding, emotional individual
With a mustache.
You know? Yeah, it's actually really funny, and I want to bring this up. You know, Cloud9, Sayo previously played middle for Cloud9.
Yeah.
He has a tendency to be a little bit emotional, and so he played middle for Cloud9, and they lost at LAN, and you know, he took that to heart, and he's like, look, middle is like, Lobster, for middle laner for Team Solo Mid, famously said, like, welcome to Smite. If your position is mid, first thing you got to know is you're going to die a lot. Like, that's your job in middle lane, to die, and to mitigate just how much you die. Because every 3 minutes, there's a party in middle lane, at the very least. You know, so Sayo, he moved over to the solo lane. He dyed his hair and his mustache black.
Oh,
he
my
grew
word.
He grew an emo, like, and then he joined. He went from, like, he was blonde hair, middle lane, you know, like, blue and white Cloud9, Mortality eSports, red and black, dye my hair black, over my eyes, write poetry in the
At least he
darkness.
does. Oh my
Like,
god.
It's so good.
Hanging out at Starbucks with your apple. Yeah.
I love this storyline. I think Mortality is one of the more fun lineups, and you know, something I really want to say that's kind of unrelated is a lot of people are out there talking about Dignitas and how they're not Dignitas anymore. You know, don't be so, you know, Dignitas, this, that, and third about you know, there's only 2 members on the team. There's only 2 members on Cloud9, and they're 3-1, bros.
That's true.
Things
That's
happen.
true.
Things
Yeah.
happen. There's a lot more. It's not that simple. Nothing is ever that simple. So.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really good point. I mean, I like the. You know, right now is the time for stories. Like, this is like a story. Like, the storyline is starting to build for these players and these teams, and I think it's great. There's a lot of new players that I'm saying new in regards to, you know, having the attention of individuals like the casters and the Smite scene and on Reddit, and you know, we're starting to see these posts going out on these different players and stuff out there that nobody really knew about. They were ranked monsters, or they just played, you know, semi-competitively, and now they're starting to become big. And like, you know, you look at a team, you know, going back to Mortality, you look at a team and some of the names you recognize, the iRaffers and the Sayo, but then a lot of the other guys, you're like, who are they? But then you see people like Kret going crazy over Moex and stuff like that. Like that, and it's just like, oh no, Adonis, that's right, Adonis. And it's like, you know, these are great. And so we have these names, and I talked about brand recognition. ESL's Fantasy League is doing a lot for that. People now are starting to associate like team, player, and we're starting to get these, you know, this association, and that's becoming big. And so like, this is fun. Like, this is great. Like, you know, traditionally on the show, F.Dot has always been our big esports guy, and I've very much been our community and in-game content guy. And I'll tell you, like, I've been watching my fair share of SPL all week long. Like, I posted a picture the other day at work, and literally I have like one monitor dedicated to that and one monitor dedicated to ESL Fantasy League, and I'm just enjoying it. So it's great for someone like myself who isn't huge into esports, that now I'm starting to get that connection.
It gives you an excuse to care.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to put it that way.
Like I mean, I'm a sports nerd, and I play, like, you know, fantasy baseball and basketball and stuff, and I consider myself well versed in basketball. You know, there's only 12 dudes on a team, not that difficult, and only 7 of them really get to play. You know what I mean? But when you play fantasy sports, baseball and football, I guess more specifically, you consider yourself well versed in the sport. And you're like, all right, sweet, I know the sport. And then you get into fantasy, and you're like, all right, on the 17th ranked team, there's this shortstop that plays on Thursdays named Jacoby Malfreakery, and you're like, all right, I'm going to draft him because when the sun is east, you know, and you start to know all these smaller players, and you know, that's sort of what opens up, and that's for somebody that understands and follows the sport. you know, and then for everybody else, you know, now they get to know all these players and stuff. So it gives you an excuse to watch. It gives casuals an excuse to really care. It gives tryhards and diehards a bigger excuse to like know the smaller guys. And while you might not, you know, you might be into the SPL and you might not know the history of, you know, iRaffer being on I5 and all this stuff.
Yep.
Fantasy comes, you might want to know that.
Yeah.
You know, you might want to know that Sayo used to play on Cloud9, so when Mortality faces Cloud9, be aware of that matchup.
Yeah, it's a good one to watch. Yep.
You draft that. So those storylines start to become involved, and they start to grow, sort of like one of those little dinosaurs that you spray with water and they grow really big. Like that's sort of what the storylines are, and I'm really excited that people actually get to see the human element and the storylines behind the whole, like, this is the meta, these are the items, kill the fire giant, kill the titan. There's a lot more behind the game than that, and I'm so excited.
You know, I think it's great that we're starting to build like these like relationships with the teams and with the players. Something I just thought about as you started to talk about it, and we talked about pain with exposed secrets. What is the ruling behind like how many players have to stay the same with like roster changes and stuff like that? One? Okay.
It's an organization.
Okay. Okay.
So
it's not even one.
Yeah, it's zero. It's zero.
It's an organizational thing.
Okay.
If an organization wants to get a whole new roster.
Okay. So for example,
Although
you know,
it's on. I don't want to like throw everybody under the bus like that.
Yeah.
It's on. They have to work with Hi Rez about it.
Yeah.
If it's just like the organization is mad at the players, I'm sure something will be done in both cases, because it's like the players didn't do anything specifically wrong. Why should they be kicked out? But it's like, well, it's the organization got the invite, but the players, but the organization. You know, where do you draw the line? It's there's a rule about it, but there's also it's very judgmental, and it'll be taken by a very case-by-case basis in the sense that we're going to try our best to, you know, accommodate both sides as well as possible.
Yeah.
We don't just want to be like, it's only the leagues, and so everybody else is screwed. So don't think that in the slightest.
Because the reason I thought about it, because like this is, you know, we talked a lot last week about roster changes, and now, you know, this is kind of the first case that we are seeing that happen with exposed secrets needing to fill Payne's role. I'm hoping a ton, guys, that we see a lot of static teams. We don't see a ton of roster changes just because of the value of that. I mean, we will, without a doubt. It'll happen. It'll happen throughout it. But I don't think we're going to see anything major like how Team Dignitas swapped out 3 players. Like, I don't know that we're going to see that.
Yeah.
You know, over the next 7 weeks.
I think that. So I think multiple things are at hand here. First of all, I think Team Dignitas's roster changes would have happened regardless, because I don't exactly think that they were 100% gameplay oriented.
Okay.
Outside of that, with the way the SPL is, it's pro team against pro team. You don't get this burnout of playing against, like, and you know, I'm sorry to all the people that got stomped in qualifiers, but like when you're TSM and you have to play teams that you're inevitably going to stomp for 4 hours in a row before you can actually play real games, there's like burnout, and like that can really like hurt the morale of the team, etc., etc. I think we're going to see more stable environment, also because teams have an actual realistic set of numbers that they can reference. You know, you can say like, look, you're underperforming. You said that when you reference numbers in the old format, you're like, you died 17 dude, I died because like I was Arachne because we were trolling. Like you played Odin middle lane, which actually isn't horrible. But like, you played Odin middle lane.
Don't say that.
You know, because it's the first round. You know, so like, different things. When it's pros versus pros, you can really dissect and see what's going on. You can change your strategy. I think we'll see more static teams. I really and truly do. So I wouldn't expect, you know, unless, like I said, I think the Dignitas thing was more than just, hey, you're underperforming. I don't think it was that simple.
Yeah, sure. Any last comments on SPL Week 1?
Just can't wait for Week 2. It's been so exciting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Moving on, we do have the Challengers Cup that did go ahead and finish up this past weekend. And I may know somebody that knows a little bit about that. So I guess I'll throw it over to F. to kind of go over the Challengers Cup, what it is for people unfamiliar, and what we saw this past week.
Right. So we talked a little earlier about how the SPL is now the pro team. So the weekend tournaments have, you know, we've changed the format from the weekend tournaments, and we've brought it into this daily thing. Well, if you miss those weekend tournaments, they're still there, and they're actually, in my opinion, a little bit better, because we have for the most part, equal footing. There are the teams that miss the SPL, and they're there. But for the most part, it's all these amateur teams, or soon to be not so amateur teams, shall I say, because I want to see more and more people come out. Essentially, what the Challenger Cup is it's North America on Saturday and Europe on Sunday, just like the old form. And you come in with your team and you play in a single elimination tournament. That be that. The implications of that being, yes, there's $1,000 put on the line each week. That's definitely a big deal. You know, teams can actually win money. But more importantly, some might say, myself included, more importantly, there are seed points at stake. If we boil it down, it's the same structure, 100 points to first place, 60 points to second place, etc. At the end of the 7-week play period, which you'll notice the SPL is also a 7-week play period.
How ironic.
At the end of that you used ironic about as correctly as Alanis Morissette, and we're not going to touch that. But at the end of the 7-week play period,
Please continue.
we're going to total up the seed points. And the 2 teams from each region, North America and Europe, the 2 teams with the most seed points will play against the bottom 2 teams in the Smite Pro League. What this allows us to do, that's your your door of entry to the Smite Pro League. So if you want to be the next, Real X, if you want to be the next Lazarus, the next Anister, the next Jeff Hinla, this is where you come. You show up, you sign up with your team, you play, you win. At the end of the season, if you're number 1 or number 2, you play against the bottom 2 teams from the SPL, and you can actually get in there. You can get in the SPL, you can play, you might even go to Worlds.
Yeah.
This is a direct line to becoming a professional Smite player. I mean, that is, I don't need to sell it. That's all I have to say. Do you want to be a Smite Pro? This is how you do it. Just sign up. Like I said, there's money too. Y'all come in first place, you get $500 for the team. That's $100, dude. I don't mind an extra $100 on the weekend, you know. And just to let you know, in case you're worried about how much excitement there is about this today, we had a small number of teams sign up for the European scene. We only had 43 teams.
Is that it? That's still impressive. That's still crazy impressive.
That was ironic because that was the joke. Coming into qualifiers, I'm totally pooping on you, but I love you, baby.
You know, I got a comment the other day on that. I'm gonna put it out there. Somebody had given us a review, and they were like, "This show is awesome because you have 2 hosts that can make fun of each other and bicker back and forth, and they still show up the next week."
Of course, that's our dynamic. You know, that's why we get along so well.
Sorry for interrupting you. Please continue.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, the show is based around interruptions, essentially. Rusty! But I knew Demon would get that one. Thank you, baby.
Mortal Kombat. Come on now.
Oh, that was good.
But so coming into the qualifiers back before the SPL, we rarely touched 40 teams. I mean, Demon, can you
when the qualifiers were happening, one week it was such a low turnout. We had 6 teams show up for North America.
That's terrible.
We had 6 teams show up, and this is something that I have been talking about before we even started what was previously the qualifiers. Because I was like, we have to get these teams set. We need to get a pro league and an amateur league because I know dozens of teams that don't want to play because they're like, I don't want to go up against Dignitas in the first round. I'm tired of getting stomped for an hour and then going home, and it's like a waste of time because I wait around for an hour before I sign in, then I get destroyed and I go home.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be explained any better than Saturday morning when there was 84 teams there, and I was like, wow, suddenly all the children are here to play, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to get into, man. Like, Europe, we had 42 teams. I said only to be funny because, you know, that's a lot of teams, especially in juxtaposition to
ironic too,
our qualifiers. Yeah. And then North America, I want to give every single one of the 420 players that came out, on a serious note, like, no jokes about the number, dude. Like, each and every one of you guys, I had a bracket full of 82 teams, or 84 teams.
Awesome.
That was just incredible. I was so excited, and that's what we want. There's an incredible amount of excitement around this. Everybody wants to be the next big deal, and you can. You definitely can. You know, and we actually got some feedback, and I'm going to let you know that we're taking the feedback we're taking the feedback to heart. What happens is when we start the tournament, we generally look for evenly matched teams. We don't want to show the stops. Because there are some teams that are well practiced, namely Agilitas in the European League. SunTouch has his team, Potato Boys.
Oh God,
We
don't,
have
don't
some-
encourage it.
We have some semi-pro teams, if you will.
Yeah.
And I usually like to save those till later. I'm gonna save some face and say that we originally planned to stream some of the more even matches, but technical difficulties. Demon Machine's an admin. He totally understands. A minute before the match, some team like, my dog needs to go for a walk. We forfeit, and then we got to play a stomp.
Oh yeah.
That sucks.
The
But
worst.
we will
We
be
can't
making
get five.
exactly. We will be making it a conscious effort to show more of you guys. So if you guys are some of the more underdeveloped teams, and you're not exactly confident that you're going to win first place, but you still want to show your talent, we're going to get you on stream. That's our goal. The Challenger Cup is basically equal parts esports and community content. I want the community showcase. I want the Challenger Cup to be community teams playing and having fun and showing off their individual skill set at the same time as being a place for pro teams to cherry pick talented individuals off of teams and for those top two teams to make it to the SPL. I want it to be a little bit of both. And like I said, it's going to be fun. We have a rumor that a certain British caster might be playing in the NA tournament just for fun. Things like
Who
that.
could that be? Who could that
Yeah.
be?
One of the British casters for Smite.
The only?
But things like that. That's what I'm talking about. It can be fun. Competition is fun, and at the same time, we can also be a little serious and look forward to the SPL and say, hey, look, there's 6 teams in the SPL right now. Wouldn't it be cool if 2 of them bounced and we got 2 brand new teams?
Yeah.
So this is my baby. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter or anywhere else. But it should be pretty straightforward. Sign up the day of. There's no intricate stuff. You just show up in TeamSpeak, say, hey, I want to play. We set you up, and you get to go. Maybe even win some dough.
They send you a form.
Yeah, right.
Don't go in there and start spamming your roster to all the people that have the word admin in their name. That won't get you anywhere.
So
Go to
will
a lovely little lobby and they'll direct you.
So will the Challengers Cup be completely open in regards to how many teams you can take moving forward after that was a huge will it be that way or no? Will there be team caps moving forward?
Maybe 128.
Yeah, I mean I don't have any.
Okay, that's great.
Nah, dude, I want everyone to come out. I mean, if there's 200 teams, I might have to do something.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, man, it's all you could have 8 bazillion brackets and you just say, ready, go. And most of them should finish around the same time. And, it's daunting, but I don't care. And my team might hate me for this. Shouts to Hindu Man and Kret because I know they're chilling in chat. But, me, I just want to see the community involved. I want to see as many teams come out as possible.
Yeah,
because,
sure.
like I said, not only is it the top 2 teams that can swap with the SPL, but don't be fooled. There are a lot of pros in SPL teams that are just watching, waiting to find that new Shaggy Shack.
That ringer. That's kind of like what Wolfie had said.
Barracuda. Barracuda came from a team called Vicious and Delicious. Nobody knew who the hell he was. He wasn't a big shot. And he's Barracuda. That's what happened. Same thing with Shaggy Shank. Who's Shag? That's who Shaggy Shank is, no doubt. So one of you might be the next Barracuda.
Yeah.
And those team captains are watching. So you play your best, and I just want to see the most people come out and play.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's kind of what Wolfie had said last week. Was one of the things that he was looking at. With this was he was viewing it and going, okay, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be looking for fresh new talent. That right now Wolfie's team is kind of up in the air right now, and there might be an opportunity at one point or another on any of the teams. Just like we talked about Exposed Secrets. You have someone dropping out. They're going to need someone in place. Do they just spot somebody from the Challengers Cup and go, all right, you're in. We need you. In the SPL, and all of a sudden you've gone from, hey, I'm going to play this kind of casually and play in this Challengers Cup, to all of a sudden, wow, I'm in the SPL. I'm playing on X team. I have a chance to go and play all of a sudden for 600. You know what I mean? For 600 plus grand, the opportunity, the opportunity's there, and so it's definitely another route. Any last comments? Go ahead. Go. What do you got?
Yeah, the one thing is that there's 2 distinct differences between the SPL and Challengers Cup. Challengers Cup is mainly players and teams that are playing together. They want to have fun. They want to try and get good. SPL, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in the Challengers Cup and you are way outperforming one of these guys in the SPL, they're going to pick you up because it's more likely that they're going to get closer to getting $600,000.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that. They want that money, and it doesn't matter how they get it. You're up, you're out. Get out of here. You're not doing well enough. We're bringing him in because he's got the stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just how you got to be prepared. It's going to be super exciting. There's going to be drama because money is involved.
I think teams now are at this level where we're at now, and the road, like through this prior to now, there's been some accountability, and I understand that. But now with all the roster changes, like last week before we started, like teams are definitely holding their players accountable, and they're looking for the W. They're looking for that W, and so just as kind of what Dignitas said, like do whatever we got to do. We got to make roster changes, so be it, So, yeah, I mean,
I don't
it's
think
exciting.
we're going to see a Denial eSports anytime soon again. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Wow, way to put that knife in and turn it a little bit.
I don't think teams are going to be allowed to be that bad for that long.
Oh, stop it! Terrible.
Oh,
You're terrible.
Goodness.
So let's go ahead and move on here. We don't have any patch notes for this week. Usually, guys, we'll take this time and go through the patch and just kind of discuss it and stuff like that. D Machine, how are you for time? You good? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. What we'll do, guys, is we're going to do F.Dot's favorite part of the show, which is taking direct questions from you guys. I'm going to go ahead and post a link in chat. The credentials are directly on the document there, D Machine, if you need that. And go ahead, guys, go out to that web address right there, and go ahead and ask us a question. We'll go through and pick out as many as we can go through today. All right, and so go ahead and submit it. You guys don't need to sign in or anything like that. You can just go there and submit your question anonymously, and we will go ahead and filter through them and get rid of the ones that are not necessarily appropriate, and we'll definitely take the good ones. Ask.fm/the SmiteUpdate is the address that you guys should be using. Our moderator, Buddha, is taking care of business right now, so he's using that right now in chat to let you guys know. And so as we start to see that fill up here, let me go ahead and refresh it. We'll start to get some questions in here.
So here's a question.
Go for it. Take
how the
it.
hell do you use ask.fm? I've never actually touched it.
Okay, go to ask.fm, and then you'll log in with the credentials on that sheet. After you're done with that, you'll go to the top and click questions, and you'll just you'll keep refreshing that, and then people have their questions listed. After you read a question and we talk about it, just hit the X to the right of it to delete it out of the list, and they can go on for quite a ways as people start to submit them. So this is like F.Dot's favorite. Like if the entire show could just be this,
Oh my goodness.
he would be happy with it. I have to go through.
Go.
I have to go through and purge it because we end up with like 100 by like the next show that have been listed in there. So,
oh my God, I see Flavor watching.
We'll pretty much just go through and take some questions here and there. What do you think of the top 4 teams in the tournament today? Oh, the NA. Okay, so I think this person's referring to the Challengers Cup. What do we think of the top 4 teams? 2 from NA, 2 from EU. So for me personally, on the NA side, I'm kind of not, or I'm sorry, the EU side, I'm kind of not surprised. These were teams that we, Potato Boys is made up of a lot of very, very skilled, high competitive players that have been
What's their name again?
Potato Boys.
Potato Boys!
I hate you. So these guys have been around for a while, and they've pretty much just a mix and mash of teams that have disbanded or people that have left teams and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised. A lot of these players are people that traditionally could very well have been in the SPL. No problem. As for Dignitas, they have done very well over the past several months within the scene, so I'm not surprised there. As for the opposite side, on the NA, where Return and Team Salt, I'm not as familiar with. I kind of have to jump in and look at some of these players here. But that's just my thoughts. What do you think, F.Dot?
Yeah, so NA, Return, and Team Salt were both very good. Names you might expect to see, Air Cougar, Astro Squared, et cetera, et cetera. Just teams that, players that have, what are you wowing about?
I said Clow.
Oh. I try to avoid saying Cloud's name on the air. But,
He'll hear it, he'll come from the nether and just...
Yeah, Cloud. Hey, I heard you were talking about our Lord and Savior.
Exactly.
My casters, on the other hand, had no problem shouting Cloudback every 2 seconds. But,
Yeah.
so we have a lot of memorable names, a lot of people you might recognize in the North American scene. That said, while Team Salt and the team with the mystery support Hammer Time might be favorites, I think that the skill gap between those teams are smaller with the rest of the crew. Europe, you got Potato Boys, which is basically people that were kicked off of SPL teams and they're still just as talented, versus Dignitas, the team that just barely missed the SPL. Because we always talk about how Europe is like more competitive. I'm not exactly going to sign off on that statement, but there's a lot of talent in Europe. So I think that those two teams in Europe are a little more distanced than the rest of their Challenger Cup people, their competitors. But North America, you do have Salt and Return, but beyond those, I think the competition is a little closer. So I like to see Return. I am eager to see more of their shadowy support that nobody knows who he is. It's a brand new account named Hammer Time. Very aggressive playstyle. Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how that happens and who he is and all this other stuff. And Team Salt is talented as well. So I think it's pretty cool and it's fun to watch. So I'm happy about the team setup. Like I said, I would like a little more competition in Europe, but North America is very exciting, especially with 82 teams.
Yeah.
Good deal. D Machine, you see any question you want to take or talk about?
I guess one that's pretty simple is Al getting a rework for sure? Yes, it's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
How long could it be? I don't think it's a for sure thing is who he's going to be.
Or when, yeah.
Or when either, but because we saw that one tweet with the, what was it, Hi Rez Chris, I think, tweeted it out, the Arachne hanging upside down.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And everybody freaked out about that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that'll be huge, to say the least. F. Pick a question.
What does ESL stand for? This is a quick one. Electronic Sporting League, or Electronic Sports League. It's an outside league. ESL is run by people that don't work for Hi Rez. They do, if you've seen some of the stuff in Katowice or some of the other stuff, mainly in Europe, they put on these gigantic stuff. They do a lot of Counter-Strike, the Intel Masters, the Intel Extreme Masters series, Counter-Strike, StarCraft, a little bit of League, and they're venturing into Smite. They're the ones who, you saw the beautiful studio that we had for our European lands, our regional land. That's the studio that we're using. That's ESL. So they're an outside source, and that's pretty much what they do. They're really pretty cool, and that's basically what it is. Not gonna answer that for sure.
There's always those like unique questions through there, to say the least. So
actually, this is one that I do want to answer.
Go for it.
I wonder if pro players have double standards that they can rely on concerning harassment or other ban reasons to not get banned, or does everyone get treated the same? Everyone gets treated the same. We just saw EMC. EMC Squared was a basically extremely talented mid laner for Wolfie's team Thirst. Good ranked player. Allegations of cheating. Really not going to touch on whether I think it's true or not. Fact remains, he was caught cheating in some way, shape, or form. Hi Rez did some investigation. It wasn't just a computer scan. For all the people that are about to jump down my throat, it wasn't just like Punkbuster computer scan.
Yeah.
They did investigation after Punkbuster computer scan, and they found that they didn't like what they saw.
Yeah.
And he is permanently banned from competitive play. I'm sure he'll make an account and play ranked and stuff like that, but he will never be able to take part in a tournament. Which, again, I'm not going to touch. There's a lot. It's a polarizing thing. I mean, but frankly, my opinion on it, it's got to be black and white. You were caught. There's some mystery on whether or not we think it's true. Tough noogies, you're gone. Because Smite's handing out over $100,000 per player for their worlds.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Just a little bit.
You can't cheat. Like, that is the most... You know, you look at traditional sports, and I guess the most prime example is Pete Rose. Pete Rose was a baseball player back in the day, considered one of the greatest, bet on a baseball game that he played in, and he was banned for life.
Wow.
He bet on his own team. Still banned for life because it ruins the integrity of the game. Like I said, he was one of the greatest. A lot of people think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Will never be a part of the Hall of Fame. Could never play a game again. Banned from baseball for life because the integrity of the game, if you want to be taken seriously, is of the utmost importance. And when it comes to esports, one of the biggest hurdles we have to jump is cheating, because you can actually cheat. Wall hacks, aim hacks, etc. So the second you smell that, gone. Done. I don't care if you're Annenster, best player in the world, who doesn't cheat. I'm not saying he does. But if you are the best player in the world and you cheat, you're gone. Period. That's how it has to be. So
I do want to touch on the fact that even where it comes to the harassment and things, as it says in there, the question of I know Omega's been banned before he's been banned for short times, like 14 days for harassment, things like that. There have been plenty of pro players that have had their accounts suspended or banned, and they haven't been allowed to play in the competitive scene because their accounts are currently banned. Now they can be allowed to play in the competitive side if they get written permission from the admins, and so usually it's like you're banned from playing, except you can come Monday to play in your league game, and then you're done again. Stuff like that. So they still have to behave themselves outside of the tournaments as well, or else it can reflect poorly upon them and their team. And now, thanks to the Pro League and stuff, that should be holding them to a higher standard, because what does a sponsor not want to hear? What, my player was banned?
Yeah,
again?
that doesn't
Because
go
he
over
couldn't
well.
keep his crap together?
yeah. But I mean, that's also, it's on the sponsors. If I'm sponsoring a team, I'm going to investigate the players. I'm going to see what they're like. I want a little bit of tenacity. I want some nerd that's going to talk. I want some guy. I mean, it's no secret that I like Omega. It's no secret that I like that gameplay style. Omega and Iraffer hold a special place in my heart because they're the type of dudes that are like, yeah, we beat you. It's because you're not. It's because we're just better. Yup, I said it. And I like that. I respect that. I dig that. I'm into it. But you take it a step too far, that's bad. And as a sponsor, you got to be aware of that. You got to say, all right, this Iraffer guy's great because he's confident and he knows his stuff, but he's not going to get himself in trouble. You take a look at.
Yeah, that's true.
There are people in ranked that are famous for being gigantic people. Trolls is putting it nicely. People that you don't want to be with at all. And those are the people that sponsors take a look at. And I know people that are affiliated with that whole area of sponsoring a team, and that's a very real thing. We take a look at how you conduct yourself. We take a look at the things how you interact with people on Twitter. You take a look at how you represent yourself, because at the end of the day, if I have Tom Battinger Esports and I'm gonna pick 5 dudes to play video games for me, they're representing my name.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got to be careful. It's not just about being banned from the game. It's about being sponsored and being a part of the bigger picture and all that stuff. So conduct is definitely taken seriously, whether you're XX Dragon Slayer 420XX playing in Bronze 5, or you are #1 in Masters playing on a competitive team in the SPL. Definitely got to be careful on how you conduct yourself. There's really no double standard.
Yeah, no, I can agree. Moving on to some other questions here. One was, why are people hyped about Mortality? Isn't it the team whose own players left them previously? Mortality came into the scene quite a while back, actually, before the launch tournament, and did very, very well, the squad that they have there. And I can't remember. I know F. or one of you guys can remember. Who did they go to? They left Mortality, and they went to... It was like a big name. It wasn't... I'm trying to remember who it was.
Ask me this, I can tell you.
But
it's one of those.
It was right before the launch tournament, a little ways before the launch tournament. They ended up leaving Mortality, going to a larger organization, I feel like, at that time. Why am I drawing a blank?
Wasn't Cloud9.
No.
Coast.
Coast.
I'm pretty sure.
Team Coast. I think it was Team Coast. And so that's what occurred previously, and it was the entire team kind of swapped over. You might be correct with Coast. Why are people hyped about it? Well, Mortality was in the scene quite a ways back. They're a well-known team in the competitive scene. They did very well. They kind of left for some time, And, you know, our understanding was after the team left that they went ahead and right now, if you look, like Mortality has players in Smash Brothers and also in Call of Duty and other fighting games. And so now they've come back like months and months and months later since the launch tournament, and they're a bigger organization now. You know, they've expanded into other scenes, but they know their stuff. Like if you've been following Mortality even during then, they're very professional, you know, and they're starting to grow. If you notice, like Mortality then had like one sponsor, two sponsors. Now if you go over there, they got Razer, they got like Loot Crate, they got a bank sponsoring them, other stuff like that. So, you know, and now there's like National Pen Banks on there too. Like there's a bunch. I was just reading through the list. So when people say why are we hyped about it, because this is another organization coming back into the scene. Like this is maybe not as big as your Team Dignitas or your Cloud9s or your Team Solo Mid, but it's always a good thing for the competitive scene to have another organization coming in. That's not just like, hey, here's 5 of my buddies. We're going to call ourselves X, Y, and Z, and we're an organization. It's like, no, like this is actually people are paid to do the job, and you know it's a big deal. So this is good. This is a good thing for the scene to have more sponsors coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mortality. I only have good things to say about Mortality. Both the players behind the scenes and how they conduct their business as Hindu Man.
Oh,
you're not as attractive as Hindu Man.
Oh
but
my
I'm
word!
Sure you smell just as. I'm sure you smell just as bad. Octane.
I'm not a smelly European. Come on now.
But
I just burned a bunch of bridges.
You know, they've really come out of nowhere, and they were born from Smite.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Mortality has been born from Smite. We have Team Solo Mid and Cloud9 organizations born from League of Legends. We have SK Gaming, which born from Counter-Strike, I want to say, about 10 years ago. They're one of the oldest esports organizations in the game. Mortality is the first Smite baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I love that.
I don't think anybody knows what SK stands for.
You know, they're the first Smite baby.
Yeah.
So that holds a special place in my heart. But also, like I said, I just see the way they do business, and I respect it. So I'm excited, and you know, not for nothing, talking specifically about the gameplay, folks. Walk it off.
No joke.
This team is gnarly, man. You got one of the best people to play the game of Smite in your solo lane. You have Moex, one of the most underrated hunters. The whole team is just nasty. So both outside the lines and in the gameplay itself, it's an interesting team.
All right, what other questions you guys got?
Of course, I get told by all the people in chat exactly what SK stands for, but I'm not German, so I have no idea. Other than it probably says commando.
Yeah,
I might be able to say that word.
Yep.
Do you think Dignitas will drop their sponsorship? No.
No, I don't think so.
No, they won't.
Hey, look at F-Dot! Look at F-Dot! Oh! Okay. We got a lot of Dignitas questions, though, to be honest with you, if you look through here.
Dignitas is, you know, we talked about Mortality being a Smite baby. And, you know, Dignitas obviously isn't born from Smite, but Team Dignitas is probably one of the biggest names in Smite at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of people are fans, not just because of the players, but because of the history. You know, before Best and Shadowkey left, what were they together for, like a year and a half, 2 years? So
2 years.
They've been they're still not. They're still inseparable. That's one of the reasons that like from I don't know if you guys discussed last week, but I heard that Best was benched and Shadowkey didn't want to be there without Best. Was the short end of the story because they are like literally best friends.
Romantic
and so they
involvement.
don't want to be on different teams.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I can understand. Let's see what else we got here.
Would you guys like to have how many players online, how many people in each conquest and stuff like that? They used to have that way back in the beta.
Yep.
When it first started, there was literally
that was an alpha.
There are currently 150 people in queue.
Yeah.
I think it was a debugging thing, not so much a quality of life thing.
Yeah.
Like it was, you know, you can queue now because there are actually people here. Because I mean, back when that started, there was like maybe 5,000 people playing total, and so it was tough sometimes because you'd try and get in queue. And also, please, community, please, I want to stop this train before it goes any farther. I've seen a lot of Reddit threads about can we, you know, with the matchmaking and getting rid of the timers on the matchmaking. Don't get rid of my timers on the matchmaking. Everybody, they've done this twice now. They've already removed timers once, and the community lost it they lost their minds.
Hi Rez
They were
Chris.
like,
Hi Rez Chris
"This
said they're
is the
doing it
time
again.
I go and pee, and I go and get my drink, and I do all this stuff, and I do too. Please don't get rid of them. I like them there.
Sadly, we will tell you it's
Cute,
happening
cute
again.
Hot Pockets. Nice.
2 hot
You know?
pockets. Yeah,
I got enough time to go pee. I'll be right back.
Hi Rez Chris said a few weeks back that it will be happening again.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
I hope they can give us at least a timed queued option. Maybe
Yeah,
that
right.
way. Don't accept me into the queue at least for another minute. I have to be right back.
All right, let's see here. What else we got here?
Actually, that would be an interesting idea. What if you could say, I want to queue in 2 minutes? Or with the maximum amount of time I'll wait for a queue is 5 minutes. And so it tries to match you up as best it can in 5 minutes versus... That's interesting.
Yeah, that's an idea as well. Let's see what else we got here.
I'm willing to wait an hour. Well, then you'll probably get a really good game, but you'll
Yeah.
be possibly waiting an hour. You know, stuff like that.
Who do you think the best European hunter is in the SPL? And I will finish this with after week 1.
After week, okay, I like that amendment.
I had to add that on there because that type of statement's like really like how do you put that out there?
And I'm gonna draw a lot of fire here. I'm gonna give 2 names.
Okay.
And they're not Young Bay and Smek.
Oh.
For me.
I got.
That was a good one, Demon.
I'm serious.
Yep. Well, Reels. I would have to say agree with you.
Reels and Shaggy Shank, I think are. I think. So I mean. Yeah, I think Reels and Shaggy Shank. Basically, Reels traditionally has not been a playmaker. He's been a sort of like a small forward where like things happen and then he finishes. Since that LAN tournament, homie's going 10-1 literally. Reels is and part of Reels, you know, Hinderman played with him a couple of times, just obviously not on a hyper competitive level, but there's something there. What Reels does is Reels operates like Zapman, where the waves coming down the lane, it's like, all right, hog this and kill him. Like there's thought process there. There's a thought process there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I like Shaggy Shank just because his mechanics are on point. I like Shaggy Shank just because of the raw ability to hit stuff. That said, somebody does say Moex, and I will mention Moex real quick. Moex has the Lazarus factor, where he's just like, murder, murder, murder. No, me and Crent were talking about it, and Mortality, their whole roster kind of looks like a little like you don't want to run into them in a back alley.
Yeah, right. So those pictures of them.
Like,
yep.
They're like, ugh.
And
then you got Frezzy, but whatever.
And then Sayo's in the front of that. He's like the little man. You know, he's got like the top hat on. He's like, you talking to me? You talking to me?
But me and Crent were joking because Moex's gameplay style is exciting because it's just random.
Yeah.
It's just exciting. It's just all of a sudden he's gonna kill you. And me and Crent are just like, this is kind of how Moex plays. It's just like, all right, team, we're gonna go in. No, he just sits there and he's farming and just like, let's go. Like they just take shots and they go. It's just all of a sudden just like, go now. It's just exciting.
Who's the shot caller on Mortality? Do you know?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. I mean, I see.
Probably Sayo.
That was my guess too.
Knowing Sayo and knowing how he runs, I would presume he's probably the one basically organizing this team.
Give that man a raise.
He's doing good.
Yeah, but yeah, so
Mortality's doing great in general.
Yeah, they are. So you know, going back to the original question, Hunter. Like I said, I'm gonna say Reels is generally who I would say right now. I like to give Shaggy Shank credit because of his mechanics, but I think that Moex deserves my secondary spot more so than Shaggy Shank.
D Machine, what do you think?
Probably go with Reels. He's very consistent. He's very reliable. You know he's going to perform well and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's that. I do really like Funball though. He's also pretty consistent. He usually stands out pretty well. Even if they're not doing well, he's still able to get his farm, get his positioning right. He's very well thought out when he engages and stuff like that. So also he's been playing for a very long time too. So he's got the experience there. I think it's just more of it's going to take some wind-up time. I think by the end of Week 7, we're going to have a completely different standings than what people think is going to happen right now. People are going to get into these routines. They're going to get more practice. They're going to decide, hey, you know what? This is actually serious. We need to take this seriously. And things are going to change drastically.
Okay. No, I mean for me, I have to agree with Reels, and the reason is consistency. I don't look at Moex and I'm like, wow, like he's the best. Reason being is like Moex hasn't been around at this level. I feel like for
Don't matter.
several months. And so when I look, and someone's like, who's the best? When I look at, I look at like Reels, like going back to the past tournament, he was good. Where is he at now? He's still doing very, very well. So I feel like he's definitely holding his own. Moex could be that. Ask us this question again on week 7 and be like, who do you think's the best in the SPL? I think we'll be able to give you a flat out answer then and be all like,
Well, this was European. This special
correct.
was European.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how things work out as we start to move on. What other questions you guys see here? Pick a question. Any question. You got 57 to pick from.
Who wants to pick?
Go for it. Just jump on it. Doesn't matter. Whoever
I'll
finds
jump at the what guy do you think is the best mid laner in the game? Personally, he thinks Ao Kwang because of his kit. Also, Giannis. I would just have to flat out say Giannis because he's got the mobility, he's got the damage, and he's got the control kit with his utility, his slow, his portal. I mean, what else do you want? Other than that, maybe it's really a close, like if you have all the mid laners, you got Giannis up here, and then you come down here and you got like Isis, Ao Kwang, Scylla, everybody else in this very small. They're very similar. They can all be very good. They can excel in certain instances when the team comp is also useful, but just being able to go all the way across the map in, under 2 seconds is fantastic.
Yeah.
And being able to say, I'm going to get away from the jungler who's trying to gank me by using this wall that's like 30 feet long is also awesome.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not just him is, Apollo can ult and then laugh as his jungler gets dead.
Yeah.
Janice is like, yo guys, I got a highway.
Let's go.
And you just,
Peace
have
out.
20
Peace out.
dudes just follow you. So,
Yeah.
There's definitely that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to, pretty
Gonna
much.
say Ymir?
So, yep. No, I agree with Demon Machine. I mean, Giannis right now is very good. I like the mobility. I mean, a lot of times you have your middle lane rotate, and this allows you to rotate a heck of a lot faster playing as Giannis, which I think is huge. Allows you and your team, time what F. said, to get out of sticky situations, very easily. And we saw that this past week in some of the SPL matches where Giannis was played, where I was like, wow, this is going south. And then Giannis pops his portal, and the team escapes. And so I think Giannis right now, best solo laner, just from what I viewed at a competitive level. Like, I don't really see a lot of like really, really good Giannis players and like casuals or anything like that. But when you're looking at the way that these ranked players play Giannis, it's like unbelievable. Like, I could never play them anywhere near that good. So it's quite impressive.
Yeah, I think Janus is a good example of a character that high skill ceiling, high reward.
Yes.
Just like Shaket.
Yeah.
Just like Shaket, which I think right now that the upside of these characters, namely Shaket, is a little too high. Characters should be balanced around their potential, not around their average skill, the average skill player. Because when you give Lass a Shaket, you lose. Yeah. like Lass is one of the best junglers, and you give him Shaket, and you just lose because she's a little over too.
Dude, Circuit did so wow. Watching people play Circuit this week, oh my word.
It's insane.
Oh, her reach is unbelievable.
I have to say that Circuit's broken just because if I can take her into the jungle and go like 12-3, I am not that good of a jungler. This shouldn't be happening. This is too easy for me to do. That's a problem.
Agreed. F. Pick out a question here.
Sure, I'm going to pick a random question. What advice do you have for a new upcoming team in the Challenger Cup?
Okay. Well, F. What is your recommendation?
But basically, real proxy, yeah, I agree. I don't think Canis is that powerful, but Circuit is. So, what advice do you have for a new upcoming team in Challenger Cup? Be okay with losing, learn from your mistakes, and be critical of yourself before others. That's probably the best thing. And understand that there's a difference between ranked, even with curse, and competitive. And finding those small differences are what's going to make you into a better team and a better player individually. Like I said, be okay with losing. You're going to lose. You might not lose in the first round. You might not lose in the second round. Even if you're one of the exemplary teams that come out, you might lose in those semifinals, and that's when you're going to lose. And it sucks. But you're going to get... But you got to get used to that.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. and you have to learn from it. That's the most important thing. When you lose, you can't sit there and go, man, we suck, not even signing up next week. You have to go, all right, dude, look, we're fine until 17 minutes in. And then the graph spiked up into the red side. What the hell happened? Dissect it. Say, like, look, I'm jungle. I was on the wrong side of the map when y'all got jumped. I need to be more aware of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about going back and learning from your mistakes, just like anything in life. But specifically being okay with losing and not getting too dejected is the biggest piece of advice I could give for an up-and-coming team. Because I'm telling you right now, Zapman's team and Shaggy Shank's team and Moex's team and every single pro, whatever pro is your favorite, I guarantee you they lost a lot before they made it to the SPL.
Oh yeah.
Everybody loses, just like so. That is the biggest thing. Learn how to make use of your bad plays by turning them into lessons for the future.
No, I think it's a good point. I think, reviewing your replays, I think, is a huge one. Find out where you guys went wrong. If your game was casted by, some of the guys, go back and check out that game and find out what they're saying. Like, wow, like this person was in this position or this person was out of position here or kind of didn't expect this here. I think that's super important as well. I feel like it's only week 1. So, like, if you were one of the teams that lost there, take it with a grain of salt and, review it and then come back next week. You could do, a team could do great one week and do horrible the next week. So, I think it's, it goes any direction. It could go any direction moving forward. What we got? Any other questions here before we wrap things up? Let's see. Can you guys hear my awful dog in the background?
No such thing as
I was wondering if that was out in my yard or not.
Oh,
because I have neighbors that have a bajillion dogs. And
Oh, that's
time,
my dog
so
upstairs, unfortunately.
Dogs rule. Be nice.
Yeah, whatever. All right, what do you got?
There's a little play. Do you have one, F. Dot?
Not at the moment, no. Go ahead.
Okay. As a player with about 50 hours in a friend's team, what advice can you give me to play an effective mid lane? Don't overdo it with the terminology. Wards. I can sum it up in one word.
Wards. I think wards are good. I think. Go ahead.
After you start off in the mid lane, when you're like, try to learn your builds, try and understand why you're building what you're building in the mid lane, whether you need to go damage on this god or you need to go mobility on this god, etc. You just really got to pay attention to the map, because in the mid lane you are, as Lobster put it, it's a party in mid every 3 minutes. They are going to come, they're going to try and eat your face as often as they can, because you are the glowing donut sitting on the pedestal that the cat is staring at, ready to knock off and ruin the day.
I like the way that's perfect.
Every time, because you are the most likely to be, let's put it this way, you can be out of position by being 3 feet up. Yep. Versus ADCs, they're out of position when they're at the tower.
Yeah.
You are out of position by being just 1 foot out of the wrong spot, and then you're dead because they just jump all over you. So you got to get those wards next to you, up above you, as many wards as you can. Ask your jungler to ward, ask your teammates to help you ward, and also you want to have them tell you when they don't have eyes on people. It's simple as that. It's just like, solo, I just don't see him. I don't know where he is. He's just not here. Keep an eye out mid. He left about a second ago. He could be going for his blue, but I just don't see him. Stuff like that. That's really how you improve your mid game. You just gotta really improve the map awareness, and I guarantee you will start to notice an improvement in your play, because you'll also notice, oh, my guys are fighting over here on the left side. I should join them. When there's a fight at the mid camp, you need to be there because they're expecting you to be there. Stuff like that.
Yeah, those are.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
No, I mean, I think you're good. Map awareness is huge, especially in that situation. You're not going to be super tanky as a mid player, so your map awareness is super important. You can't really get caught out of position. The wards are huge there. The XP camps in middle are a huge difference. I had a buddy of mine start back playing Smite this past week. He used to play in Alpha and then stopped playing for a while. And he was like, why am I... One of the big things was kind of funny. He was going against an Agni. He was up 2-0 to that Agni. And he's like, why is that Agni a higher level than me? And I was like, are you getting the mid camps? And he's like, oh, no, I haven't touched them. I'm like, that's why. Like, that's huge. That's huge to keep up with that experience. Outside of that, the last thing that I can reiterate on is rotations. I think rotations are huge. You need to know when to rotate, when to go back. And so if you're playing with other people and you could say, afterwards, were my rotations spot on? Where could I improve? They might might say, hey, you were just sitting in lane too long. Like, you weren't rotating very well. So, no, I think you did pretty good there, Demon Machine. What about you, FDoc? You think of anything else for middle where people can improve upon, or spots to really, pay attention to?
I mean, map awareness, just being aware. Watch where your teammates die. And that's probably the biggest thing. Just being aware, just like every other position.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it. That's a good question. Good question. I like that question. Let's see. What else we got here? This is an interesting question. It says, I'm starting to feel comfortable enough to start to play ranked, but I'm curious what role can carry the team to win. I can play every role pretty well, though mid and support are not my best roles. I feel like with that question, it's hard to answer because, like, one role, I want to say one role doesn't necessarily make or break it per se, but I feel like jungle, yeah, I was going to say jungle. If you have an amazing jungler, you're going to see the game snowball very well in your direction because then the rest of the lanes are affected by it. But if you have a terrible jungler, you're going to see the opposite side of that, where
When it comes to...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I totally thought you were finished.
No, please continue. I think you and I are on the same page, so please continue.
Yeah, when it comes to like a ranked environment, a solo queue environment, jungle can carry because you sort of dictate where you're going to put the pressure. If you if you value your own talent, you say, hey, the solo lane is weak, I need to help him, or my hunter lane is strong, I don't need to go over there. Middle lane, the enemies, you can take note of that, and you can sort of shift the mentality of the game. Support's big because you can make calls and you can sort of will objectives. Hunter is what I do when I'm frustrated and I still want to carry. Because when your team loses early, it's not your bad. You just sit in lane and you farm, and you farm, and you farm. And if your team doesn't F6 by the time it's like 25 minutes, then you just come and you kill everybody. So, like, if you're frustrated, you still want to do things and you don't mind losing, just chill in the hunter lane, hang out.
That's a safe bet. It's a safe bet.
If you F6 early, it's not your fault, and you can BM all the other people on your team.
Oh, God.
Because
Don't
all you
encourage
have to
it.
do is not
encourage
die
it.
too much and clear the wave. Shouts to Young Bay. Like, you don't have to make any plays, really. And then when it's time to kill people, you can just, like, Apollo ult and hold down left click and, like, get a quad. So, Hunter is usually what I do, and I'm like, dude, I have just gotten farmed. I'm playing Hunter. If we make it to 20 minutes, I'll win. But if we don't,
I'm done.
You're a terrible ranked player. You're a terrible ranked player.
And there's not ton.
It's like, don't listen to that. Yeah, that's good. Demon Machine, any thoughts on just a specific player that you feel is the most, effective for the direction of the game?
Being a team player in ranked, as sad as it sounds.
No, I agree with that. Like, on a serious note, I definitely agree.
You really got to... The teams that I'm always most successful with in ranked are the teams that, if people can't carry their weight, they admit it, and we help them. That's the biggest thing I can say. Is it's like, all right, I'm in solo, and especially this. It starts off even in the picks and bans section when you're trying to pick your roles, and just because you're higher picked doesn't mean you should take your position that you want.
Sure.
There have been many times that I prefer to play ADC, but there's this guy who's like, I'm really good at ADC, but I've never played solo. I'll take solo. I've played it plenty of enough times that I'm comfortable enough that I'm probably better than the guy who's never touched it. So I'll let him take ADC, and then you find out, this is, in the frustrating points in ranked where you do play solo, and then you find out that he is actually only level 3 on, Artemis, and this is his 5th game, and then you're like, oh, I totally could have carried this much better in ADC, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, continuing on, it's just try to be as much of a team as you can, as fast as you can, because that's how you'll win the games.
Somebody put in a question. They said, how do you think the Dignitas can improve? I think it's just time. I think with any team that has a new roster, which Team Dignitas does, I think it's just time. We're not going to sit here and be like, this player did this and this player did this and this is why they lost. To me, it's just time. Like, the team needs some time to get that team synergy down. Previous Team Dignitas had how long? A year to build up that synergy, build up, how, knowing that, I can depend on this player to be here when this happens, or this player to do this, or this player to die for this player. So I think it's just time. What do you guys think for Dignitas? Like, if they're asking, how do you think they can improve?
Dignitas. I think the biggest things for Dignitas, and this is from the outside looking in, maybe I'm completely off. I think the biggest things for Dignitas is to chill and go have a drink. On a serious note. I think that, losing to Snipe and Fat Chunks sucks and messes with your head. And I think that they need to get their morale in check before they take on COG again, which is their next upcoming opponent. And I think that is numero uno. That said, maybe they're totally fine mentally and I'm completely off base. But if this was my team or virtually any other team, that would be, if I was coaching, that would be my number one. Just, chill, go to Fridays and like get unlimited appetizers or something. Like, do something fun, man.
Yeah.
Like just go chill, don't go too crazy, but just get your mind off the game. And then when you come back to the game, specifically in the game, it's synergy and it's drills. Like, I mean, there's no, you can't like run suicides or hit pop-ups like you do in traditional sports, but just run stuff, just play games together and get used to it, because that's part of the thing that's hurting them is Naw's a little raw when it comes to competitive play, and I like on a serious note, I think Naw's a talented player with an interesting god pool, which might hurt him in some respects. So on the individual front, I think Naw should expand that. And on the team front, I think that some of the more tenured players for Dignitas should really help Naw out with learning the differences with competitive. Positioning and map awareness and map pressure specifically. We saw Naw suffer a couple of deaths because players on his team died in certain positions and he didn't realize it, or whatever the situation was. He was the secondary kill in the same equation that got his jungler killed or his solo lane killed, and that could have been prevented. I think that the dual lane synergy is fine. I don't think it's the best, and it will get there. I don't think there's anything they need to touch with Dare to Care. And same thing with Xing. I don't think Xing is winning any games. I don't think he's doing Dignitas any favors, but I think that that's going to come with time. You can practice all you want in ranked, but until you are playing against Omegatron, it doesn't matter. Like, until you're playing against not just Omegatron, but Omegatron with Answer in the jungle and MLC Stealth in the middle lane, it doesn't matter. So I think with respects to Xing and Dare to Care, I think it's just keep playing. It's only week 1. Y'all got 6 more weeks to play. And with respects to Naw, I think there does need to be a little bit of like, this is competitive, these are the differences. Not saying that they haven't done that already, but I think it's just attention to detail. But numero uno is not to let this stuff get to you.
Yeah.
Don't let this stuff get to you. You're 0-4, and you're supposed to be one of the best teams. That's all good. That's all good. There's so many more games to be played. It sucks, but it's not the worst position you can be in. And I think mentally that's the first thing that Dignitas needs to do.
Okay. Dean Machine, any other thoughts on what Dignitas can do to turn things around per the question?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things is that I think Xing, just coming over from primarily jungle, I mean, that's all he's like ever played forever is jungle. So getting him into this non-assassin style, maybe even playing a mage, is going to be difficult to get him to do. I mean, I would say that it's just his god pool right now in solo can be weak because it's just like I haven't taken this many gods against this many options of opponents yet, and so he's got to really look at that, because I mean, right now in the games, all we've really seen him run is assassins or other things that he could have taken into the jungle. Or Chalk, which he's taken into the jungle on many occasions.
Throw an axe, some Chalk.
And so people know how to shut that down pretty easily too. And I think right now also Zapman and Dare to Care, they got to work on their synergy. I think they might be a little too aggressive together. I know Shadow Q is he was a very calculated person. He knows exactly what he's going into and stuff like that. He's also, maybe they're just a little too headstrong in that lane, and it could be getting them into awkward positions that they're still working on, understanding, like, maybe we should both back away from this segment just a second. Hold on, before we go all the way to their Phoenix at 1 minute. I mean, Zapman, the guy who ultimates over to Tier 2 as Apollo in the worlds for no other reason than because he wants to kill, and he's the only one there. It did,
Yeah.
but it's those things that it's like Shadow Q is the one in the background saying, "What are you doing?" And Danica, I feel, would be the person going, "Yes, go, you can do it," and that might not be what they need at the moment.
Playstyle opposites are good.
It could blow me away and absolutely work out. However, in the mid, it's just really just needs more practice. I guess is the best way of looking at it. He's in a new environment. Competitive is a whole different animal from just being good at the game, because what would work, what you're in Smite, a lot of this is muscle memory. Like a lot of skills and stuff are muscle memory. Like I'm very good with Honor, so I know that I can spin around and spear somebody in the wall that's chasing me, easy peasy. It'll happen if they're running behind me, unless they're super pro. But if I go up into a competitive level and they're running behind me, they're going to expect me to be able to turn around and hit them with a spear. So when I do that, they're going to move and I'm going to miss, and then suddenly I'm dead, and I'm like, what just happened? My typical thing that I can instinctively do doesn't work. And so it's just something he's going to have to get used to, get some more experience in, and I'm sure he'll step up to the plate and pull it off, and they'll do it. And it's just a matter of grinding out the games and getting the games together to really make it work.
That's a good point. Good point for sure. Any last questions here? Any that stand out to you? I mean, I know we could go on forever here with just some of the questions, but we can see what we got here before we round things out. Let's see.
When is each Smite Update show on? Always Sunday nights, UK time, by the way. Yeah, so the Smite Update airs at the same time every week. We talked a little bit about how if the SPL games go on a little longer than scheduled, that might change. But for the most part, Smite Update starts at 5 p.m. EDT, which is 10 p.m. BST, British Summer Time, UK time, etc. But that might be pushed back by an hour or two. Well, really, probably not 2 hours, but
probably just an hour.
So yeah, expect Smite Update to show up at 5 o'clock EDT, 10 o'clock UK time, maybe extended an hour depending on the length of the SPL games. But essentially, that is our start time: 5 p.m., 10 p.m. BST.
All right, let's see. DM Machine, why don't you pick one more? What do you got? Find one.
Let's see.
No pressure.
Oh, that's fine. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then I'll go with the lovely one.
Go for it.
I had it and I lost it. Where was it?
What has made Cog Red shoot up in quality so quickly? You want to go with that?
I like that one.
I can actually answer this pretty like no opinion, just fact.
What's that?
Basically, what happened was the LAN tournament, and mentally they've changed.
Yeah, they're really good.
It has less to do with their victory and more to do with how they got their victory. The player. So Matty Pocket is coach for Cognitive Gaming, and played professionally with the players on the team. Matty Pocket used to be a pro back in the day. Now coaches. With the sister team, Cog Red, has contact, but not the same type of thing. And you look at these players. Garrus has been playing a long time, but players like Divios and stuff, for the most part, this is all their first LAN experience. Snoopy did stuff with Reason Gaming back in the day. With Hi Rez Cream Puff, they were on the same team. Shouts to Adonis. So he's got experience, but everybody else hasn't done this before. Seeing the look in those guys' eyes, they came to the LAN, they saw the people, the crowd, the lights, the screens, the stage, the trophy, the Bart, the Kelly, the Gabe, the whole thing, backstage, food, like accommodations, people coming up to them and asking them for autographs. Matty Pocket sitting them down and saying, "You guys are good. You have a chance." Yelling at them when they get dejected, treating them nicely. This, that, and the third. And all of a sudden they realize, like, yo, this is the real deal. I'm not just like queuing up after I do my homework. Like, this can be a thing.
Yeah.
And mom, not for nothing, like, mom saw that too. And having your mom go from, like, stop playing your stupid video games to, like, wow, you're actually doing something, this can be a career for you, is definitely a change. And seeing it for yourself is a change. And I think it's 100% mental. Meeting the coach, because Matty Pocket is a phenomenal coach. Meeting the coach in person, seeing the reality of the LAN, and just understanding the implications of what they're doing and what they're getting into really changed that team. I spoke to Yannick on Banzeus months ago, and then I had Yannick and Gars on the show after the LAN tournament. I don't want to say completely different people, but definitely mature. Not even mature, just like understanding. The understanding has grown. And I think that's the biggest deal for Cog Red, is that they believe in it. They believe in themselves. They believe in the fact that this is real, and they believe that this is something that they can do. Big names, Dignitas, and Cognitive Prime be damned. I think they actually believe in their product now. And I think that is the numero uno thing, because the talent has always been there.
I feel like Cognitive Gaming was probably the best organization to pick them up. Because of a lot of the things that you hit on, just with having a coach available, the kind of mindset that Cognitive Gaming has, things like that. Like, I think that was huge. I mean, it wasn't just whoever, I think that's what kind of took them. A lot of people viewed Cognitive Red like coming in like, oh, they're the B team type of style when they first came in. But yet after that tournament, it's like, nope. It's like these guys, as you said, these guys are the real deal. I think they noticed that too. It's interesting though, because most of these guys on the team are younger. Quite a bit, and it's interesting to see that you don't see the we placed first, we placed first in NA, we are the best of the best right now. We don't see that attitude, like that cocky attitude with them, which is surprising because they're young, they won their last event. You would expect to see that, and we're not seeing that, which is great, and it's a very good fit for Cognitive. If you guys have ever met the other players of Cognitive Prime, I think it's a very good fit. Like the personalities, I think, match up really well. So yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of one of the big things. I'm excited to see, talking about them in like 2 weeks from now, to see if the consistency is there, because that's big. Like, yeah, they could do good 1 week, but I want to see them consistently, go from there.
I agree.
Yes, they could do well.
Well or good? Well, thank you, thank you. F. Dot, pick one more. I'll pick one more. Then we'll go from there. Round it out.
Sure. I'll pick an easy one. Why did supports rush Sovereignty when finishing blah, 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 blah? Sovereignty is the best item. He references Urchin can be better. No, it can't. Sovereignty's individual...
For support, yep.
Sovereignty, yeah, for support. Sovereignty for the wearer is just as good as an unstacked Urchin. Plus, it helps out your team right when you need it to come online.
Yeah.
There are things that people call... There is a difference between a play style... Like, blindly following the meta is not correct. But certain things are standard for a reason. Always buy Sovereignty. There is no situation where Sovereignty is worse. You go Watchers, Midas, Sovereignty. I might, if you want to go cooldown boots, I don't like it, but I can understand the mentality. Sovereignty. Buy it. Don't buy anything else but Sovereignty. Just get Sovereignty. It's the best choice. Just buy it.
I think I've thought like Sovereignty.
The aura item is just there's no other item that gives your teammates all protections for being around you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. There are situations that I've seen in games where people have not had Sovereignty and then they've all died, and people in the chat are like, why did they all die? Because one of them didn't have Sovereignty, and so they took far too much damage.
Yeah. Yep. I think as a support player, I can agree with both these gentlemen. Like, Sovereignty is the item majority of the time you're picking up third, unless you're in some weird situation. But Watchers, I personally, with me, 99% of the time picking out Watchers, picking out Midas, then rotating into Sovereignty. It does force you to play a little bit safer starting out earlier on because you're not tanky. You could die very easily. But kind of what F. said, once Sovereignty kicks in, once you get your third tier of rank 3 Sovereignty up, you see a huge difference between the first few minutes of the game where you're just using Watchers and Midas to then after that. That's when that tankiness kicks in. You can really, that's when like supports, they turn on. That's when you see it. Just go back and watch some of the competitive games. You see, them being able to dive into a team fight and be effective. Exactly. Sovereignty is definitely, a great item. And, I always hate talking about cookie cutter builds and stuff like that, but if you can pick up Sovereignty third every game, it's not going to hurt you at all. So, just my recommendation. Just
Third
my
actor,
recommendation.
Watchers and Boots.
Well, Craig put the math that Watchers and Midas Boots is correct on Twitter. Basically,
Of course he did. Of course he did.
I already put his name out there.
Yeah.
And it's public knowledge, so I'm not gonna trash Cret. But Cret called out Emilito for rushing Midas Boots. Emilito's start is rank 2 Midas Boots.
Okay.
Cret said, "Somebody please tell him just to buy Watchers." A lot of pro players came out and basically said, "You don't know what you're talking about." Cret provided numbers. Nobody responded. So
That's awesome.
I think Watchers is. I think that Midas Rush is incorrect.
Okay.
That is my opinion, chat.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and go ahead.
Isn't Emilito on C9?
Yes.
No, he's on what?
He's on. He's on Coast.
Coast? Okay.
Okay. Good to know. Well, I think we'll go ahead and round out the show here. We've gone plenty long today, to say the least. We did start earlier than expected, which was great. So appreciate you guys coming out, watching us tonight. Shout outs to Hi Rez Studios for allowing us to host the Smite Update show on their channel. Always appreciated. If you guys are jumping into the show late, or you want to go back and watch the entire VOD, as it is a longer show, you can watch it on youtube.com/TheSmiteUpdate. It's actually at the very, very bottom of this graphic that you guys see at the bottom there, the overlay. youtube.com/TheSmiteUpdate. Special shout outs to everyone who has given us 5-star reviews on the iTunes store. We do appreciate that. Being the #1 Smite podcast out there right now. So I do appreciate that on iTunes. Let me put that, or on iTunes. So we do appreciate that, guys, to say the least. I don't want to make a statement without justifying that. But yeah, we do appreciate it. So shout outs to the audio audience. I know you guys check this out afterwards. You don't get to enjoy the the live show, but yeah, we definitely do appreciate it. Also to say that reiterate what F. had said. The show airs every Sunday, 5 o'clock, give or take. We'll have to, right now we're sticking to 5. We've always been 5 o'clock on Smite Update, but that could alter depending on how long the tournament runs prior to this. We're hoping to stay at that time zone. Seems to work out for myself and F. and also for Smite Game at the current moment. Before we get out of here, Demon Machine, where can people check you out if they want to keep up to date with you?
/Demon Machine, pretty much anywhere you want to find me. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook.com/Demon Machine. It's the lovely joy of spelling my name in a very awkward fashion. It makes it very easy to get it everywhere.
Okay, good deal. And F. what about you?
I am not so lucky. You can find me at twitch.tv/fswag. And if you like what comes out of my mouth, twitter.com/f.ny. Also, make sure to tune in to Smite Game right here at 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. I feed in the casual queue quite regularly. And we talk a lot about basically what we talked about here, a lot of the esports and stuff like that. So join me on Smite Game, join me on my personal channel, just don't join me in the bathroom.
All right, that was a change of things. All right, good deal. Guys, for me, you can check me out. Everything Octane Pro, SCII, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you go check. And same thing with Twitch, Octane Pro, SCII. Please go ahead, follow me, subscribe, whatever you'd like to do. And guys, we will be back next week, Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern, right here, twitch.tv/SmiteGame. Thank you guys all for coming out. Shout outs to Demon Machine for stepping in and filling our third guest seat this week. We will have someone else next week. We'll see how things go. And we will see everyone next week. Stay tuned. We're going to have the Smite Talk podcast show where you guys can go ahead and call in and give your thoughts, opinions, and questions live on Smite Game. Be starting here in just under 15 minutes. Stay tuned, everybody.